Sandra all the time is here with the cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama to call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth-telling, more problem-solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. All right, folks. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Where's Blake and Aaron this morning? Suspicious. What's going on? Waiting on them to show up. So we'll give them a few minutes here this morning because we have got a lot to talk about, honey chow. I got my honey chow cup this morning, my water mug. Ay. Some days you just feel like the world is kind of going a little bit loco. But we're here to break it down for you. We're here to make sense of it, sort of. Sometimes it's hard to make sense of all this nonsense, but we're going to do our best. Let's take roll call while we're waiting on Blake and Aaron. Good morning to everybody on IG. How you guys doing? What a crazy day yesterday. Oh my gosh. Some of the things on this little island. Good morning, Diamond Princess. How are you? Hello, honey chill. Good morning, Miss Lilith. How you doing? I know there's activity on my screen behind me. I'm going to soon sort that all out. Yes, everybody's good. What about Miss Daisy? Daisy, you must have heard me from across the globe thinking about you yesterday. I was watching a video of you and your lovely daughter. What did she post? She said it was International Daughters Day or something. And I saw you kind of walking down the street. I was like, look at Daisy. Looking all good, doing a little twirl in the middle of London. I was like, oh, that is so cute. Shaka Zulu, happy hump day to you. How you doing? Look at Olivia right here with us. There's Blake and Aaron.
Nice. Fresh on a Wednesday. Nice to have you along. And the show brought to you by Subway Eat Fresh. We're broadcasting live from the Longevity Center studios at Grand Harbor Medical. Transform your health, transform your life. All right, time is 7:28 right now.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Hey, Sandy, good morning.
Good morning, Blake and Aaron. How are you guys doing?
We're all right.
Yeah, good. Let's jump right in. We're good.
Let's do it.
All right. So yesterday was a lot of activity. You might have heard there was an attempted robbery in the lovely, normally relatively quiet district of Northside, but not yesterday.
Yeah, were there like a bunch of guys playing dominoes?
Yeah, and the young man decided that he was going to go and try to help himself to some of their money.
Yeah, they weren't having it.
They said, not today, Bobo.
And the guy was like waving a gun around.
Oh, yes. We have the full video footage.
Yeah,
we got another one. A 2 minute and 13 second one we got.
Oh,
it's
2
even
minutes.
longer.
And so
how everything went down. So anyway, the short and long of it is he tried to rob the wrong people, and they were not in the mood to have their dominoes game interrupted.
Not today, Bobo.
They kept playing.
Not today, Bobo. And so they just beat him. And that was that. And waited for the police to come. to
And
collect
so
him.
no shots were fired.
No.
Was it?
The crazy thing about this kid is he's got a long and extensive history. We'll get into some of the details a bit later on, but he's had issues. Do you remember the incident with a young man who stabbed his stepfather in Northside some years ago, back in 2020?
No.
I think so.
He streamed it live on Instagram. That's this
What?
same kid.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Okay, maybe I don't.
Did he go to jail for that?
Yeah, he sure did.
Well,
He
this
not
is
so long
armed.
got out of jail, and he's going to be going right back again.
Yeah, this is armed robbery.
Yeah, attempted.
Well,
All right. I tell you. All right. So an elderly man in West Bay unfortunately passed away after another water-related incident. Is it my imagination, or are these happening fairly frequently? I mean,
every summer it seems like.
I mean, we do get millions of people here, which I
Yeah.
guess, you have to look at the overall numbers, but yeah. So in this instance, a 78-year-old man from West Bay died on Sunday in a water-related incident by Cemetery Beach again. That's like the second one by Cemetery Beach in the past month.
What were the circumstances?
Don't know. Just reported by a member of the public that he was unresponsive in the ocean. So they pulled him ashore and they commenced CPR, but unfortunately, he didn't make it.
I think my wife used to work on Don Foster dive boat when she was when she was a teen or whatever.
Yeah.
She would talk about how these cruise shippers, they'd be up all night eating at the buffet, drinking and whatever, and then they would say, do you have any health issues? Meanwhile, a guy takes his shirt off and he's got like a scar down the center of his chest, and he's like, no health issues.
You're like, okay,
whatsoever.
open heart surgery now?
Yeah, they're probably not the healthiest. I mean, listen, I see them coming off the cruise ship with like the oxygen tanks and stuff, and you're like,
let's get in the water. Yeah, let's pretend like we,
let me go, kite surfing or whatever. And it's like, maybe not.
Yeah.
All right. Lots of discussion this morning about CUC, talking about how they have an increased risk of load shedding.
Okay.
So in other words, the power might be going out, but they're going to come on the show this morning and explain it all to us.
Yeah, because when I think of load shedding, because I go to Africa a lot, load shedding is when, to save power, they turn it off. So they say, like in Africa,
you don't have to go as far as Africa, Aaron. You can go to any Caribbean island, and it happens all the time.
It's true, but but it's kind of crazy that this is.
Why do
they turn it off? Like sometimes it got up to 3 times a day.
Why do we need to save power?
Listen, I know you were just about to say that we're different, and you know what is so interesting? I think we have been extremely spoiled. And now we might be getting a reality check thanks to the heat and lots of unbridled development and new projects coming online. But we're going to ask them all the questions this morning. Yes. I know a lot of people have questions about this, so we'll find out what's going on
out there that are greener.
Yeah. So, yes, and Doppler radar, they claim that it's finally fixed ahead of hurricane season. This thing has been broken so many times.
Yeah, let me check. I got it as an app. I'll just tell you right now.
Yeah, real time. It's always broken. I don't know. So they claim now that it's fully operational.
Hey.
And it's set to resume service Monday. It's working. There you go. Let's see for how long. The National Weather Service, the premier is actually responsible for that ministry. She claims that this milestone reflects our government's commitment to ensuring the safety and preparedness of our nation as we approach the hurricane season. So we'll see, because it was fixed before, and then it stopped working, and then it was fixed again, and then it was a part that took like 6 months to get here. So hopefully this is it. It would be nice to have something as simple as the Doppler radar working.
We were just in the East End over the weekend, and I saw a sign out in East End, kind of like, I want to say Health City area.
Yes.
Where it said Doppler radar site or something. And I was like, is there a new site? Because the one that we're used to is the one that's down by the airport at the end of the runway. That's the Doppler ball, right? The big white ball.
No, there's actually the Kearney Gomez Weather Center, whatever. That's actually up in East End, right past.
There's a sign in East End that says Doppler radar site.
Yeah. I don't know what the difference is going to be between the two sites, but yes, that is the official Kearney Gomez weather location or whatever. So, yeah.
Because I thought the big ball at the end of the runway, the big white ball, that was the Doppler radar.
No, I mean, they're building something across from what was Jose's Esso. Remember where those homes used to be, the government homes that they tore down? That's supposed to be some weather thing as well.
Nah, that's not Doppler. That's just a little weather station.
So I think
if anybody knows, dial us up and set us straight. 943-1061. I know there's a weather.
And you can also call 936-2626.
No, 943-1061.
Bobo, give us a call on Bobo right now. All right, guys. That's what we got. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
You too. We'll see you tomorrow for.
Somebody said the one at the airport. I got an answer for you.
You get a load shedding.
Oh,
yeah.
Come on. I got the answer.
Load shedding. Anyway,
talk about.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, look at specs. We're gonna talk about the.
Look, I was about to tell him the answer and he wasn't ready. I got the answer for you, Bobo.
Yeah, a couple other.
I got the answer. Hey, good morning. You got to turn off that radio when you call me in, honey child. Good morning.
Can you check?
I can't hear you, but you got to turn down the radio. Hello?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I had texted you earlier. I wanted to speak to you off the air for 1 second.
Okay, well, that's not going to be possible now that I'm live. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Said you're having guests on this morning?
Yes, sir. CUC is coming on.
Wow. Well, that's a good topic.
Yes, well, we get them as quickly as we can.
What I really like, because I got something on my phone yesterday saying about probably cutting power off.
That's what we're going to be talking about once CUC comes on. CUC is coming.
Can you call it?
Sorry?
Can you call in when it's on or no?
Yes. It's a live show, honey child.
Oh no!
Now we want them to get to their answers because we got some questions from them already. So we don't want people keep continually interrupting them because we got to really figure out what the heck is going on.
Yes. Well, okay, Mom. I don't think I'll call back, but you can ask them. Please consider. Please consider the elderly and the poorer class of people that has medication in their fridges and what happened.
Yeah. I don't know that CUC, I'm going to be honest. We're going to ask the question, but I don't know that CUC is going to be able to be like, oh, I'm going to turn off Sandy and not turn off Mr. Shillette. And I'm going to turn off this one and not turn off that one. I don't think that's how rolling blackouts work. But we're going to ask the question. Don't worry. We're going to ask the question.
No. Okay.
All right, darling. Good. So
well, I know they'll end up getting a new generator, but I guess it's all politics in it as well.
Well, we're gonna find out because I have an opinion in all of this, and I know people love to blame CUC for everything. When the power is on, we blame CUC. When the power is not on, we blame CUC. When they're being upfront to say, "Hey, this summer is going to be unprecedented heat, unprecedented this. We might have rolling blackouts." We blame CUC, but there's a much bigger problem here that we need to be talking about, which is just unbridled development in this country with zero development plan. Who are we blaming for that? Is CUC responsible for planning approvals and the development of this country and which direction we're going in? Because if they are, y'all need to tell me from now so I can really lay into them this morning because I'm pissed off. I got to be honest with you.
No, that's all government, man.
Yeah. What a hot tamale. Good morning, honey
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're waiting on CUC to join us. Come on through CUC, honey chill. It's going to be a rough morning for everybody. But, our objective here is just to get some answers, and we need some straight answers. We're not in the business of placating anybody on this program. And I tell you what, I've been getting answers in advance of the show that we're definitely going to be asking CUC. We're straight. Everybody just needs to be straight with us. And there's a lot of blame. I'll be very, very frank with you. There's more than sufficient blame going around. I've got off-reg members messaging, blaming CUC, you can't believe CUC and this and that. And you know what? I'm a very common sense kind of person at the same time. I mean, sometimes you have to really dig a little bit deeper, but I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second now. Let me try to understand what it is that you guys are suggesting, because let me be very, very clear. What CUC is, this announcement that they sent out and what they're saying is not something that's going to put CUC in any decent light here this morning. Okay. Really? Y'all think CUC is happy this morning about having to make this announcement? All of the people who were misguided about this whole thing that are cussing CUC this morning, I even saw in the women's group, oh yeah, let's turn off our electricity for a day. Everybody do it so we can teach CUC a lesson. I'm like, yeah, okay. First of all, don't count me into that nonsense, because I need power to be able to do my job and work effectively. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I need the lights to be on. Okay. Auntie can't take the heat. I'm not like some of y'all who got to have the temperature down, Trish, to 72 degrees. But, I'm also not going to sit here 90 degrees sweltering hot that feels like 150 under no circumstances. So just come straight with the answers this morning. But I'm not going to jump on, we're going to just automatically blame CUC for this hot mess. There's a lot of factors here to consider. And I want the full answers, including why, again, this government and subsequent governments for the past 25 plus years have never come up with a development plan to say, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to pace the growth of this country. When the growth outpaces the infrastructure, which is at the end of the day exactly what this is. Growth has outpaced infrastructure. What you gonna do? Okay? Y'all answer the question. Yes, new hotels have gone up. But why is the government approving hotels if they have not given any consideration to the expansion of electricity? They're holding up people with battery. Oh, honey child, y'all try hush. I even had to pull out my little notebook here this morning, my black notebook, because I took some notes about this whole energy transition situation. And I've been reading it over and doing my little homework. And I have some questions, and we're going to set some things straight here this morning as well, even about the type of license that CUC has, because one of the things that I really can't take is misinformation. Okay. Listen, CUC is a service provider, and we have to be fair to them. They need to be honest with us, and they need to be fair to us. But at the end of the day, we can't be fair to anybody if what is going around and what's circulating is misinformation. So I got my notes. I want to hear about this national energy policy revision that the government has been sitting on for donkey years and can't do anything. They can't move the needle on. Why is that? Everybody's talking about solar or we're going to do solar and wind and this generation, that generation. We can't do any of it because the national energy policy hasn't moved. And that's a problem. We need to hold a lot of people accountable this morning for this hot mess. But I assure you that no organization wants to tell you, we're going to be having possibly rolling blackouts. Their stock just, everybody at CUC is biting their nails. And let's be quite frank, this is also an organization that employs 80-something% Caymanians, and they're going to be impacted by this in more ways than one. Y'all know when you're in the grocery store now, look at me sweating. Look at how hot it is this summer. Lord Jesus, I'm going to have to take off this jacket because this is the heat now that I'm talking about, right? Y'all know every time you see a member of CUC in the grocery store, y'all going to be looking at them sideways like, you're the one who's going to be cutting my power. What a hot mess. Where are they? Come on, CUC. I know it's going to be a scary morning for you, but that's okay. Well, I tell you what, rolling blackouts is not entirely unheard of all over the region. In fact, it's just that, here in Cayman, we're a little bit spoiled. Can we admit that we're bougie and we're spoiled when it comes to Caribbean life? I mean, listen, nobody more entitled and spoiled than Caymanians, and all of our expat friends that live here, y'all bougie and spoiled too. Don't think I'm going to be leaving you out of the equation. I see some of y'all complaining to me this morning. Oh, but Sandy, me and my new Caymanian children, we can't take this heat. Are you sure that we're going to have rolling blackouts? Oh my God. I said, pour them. Meanwhile, when y'all were living in Texas, just the other day, Texas had no power for a whole week. Did I hear y'all complaining to your electric company in Texas? I'm just a bit curious. What a hot mess. It's so funny because there was an energy conference there, apparently, some sort of energy conference, and CUC people were actually at the energy conference, and they had no power, living in hotels with no electricity. What a ting, I'm gonna tell you. The world has gone mad a little bit, but we're here to set it straight. Yep, we are here to set it straight, honey child. Have they fixed the issue yet? Oh God, no. Power outages in Dallas County, Texas spurred disaster declaration. So the government, Judge Jenkins, issues disaster declaration in Dallas County. So they still have no power after all this time? Y'all have got to be kidding me. More than 600,000 customers, Encore customers, were without power in North Texas. Oh my God, this was like since last week, over a week. Still continuing? Anyway, their county judge, Clay Lewis Jenkins, assigned a declaration of disaster as more than 322,000 residents are still without electricity. Encore reported more than 600,000 of its customers, including those in Dallas and Tarrant counties, were experiencing an outage. That was yesterday morning again. Lord Jesus. Wow. So this is what they said. This is not a power generation problem. Pay attention to what I'm about to say. This is a direct quote from Lewis Jenkins, county judge. This is not a power generation problem like we sometimes have when it's cold or in the heat of the summer. Sandy, stop the nonsense this morning. What did you just say? Y'all heard what Auntie just said? In the big United States of America, where a lot of y'all are coming from, they're talking about there are times when they have power generation problems because of heat and cold. And y'all cussing CUC. Please. Oh, Lord have mercy. What? Why y'all didn't tell me the camera is all crazy this morning? Hold on. I'm just saying, let us have the facts and get it straight. I mean, power generation problems kind of happen a lot more often than you all think. But again, Caymanians and friends living here in the Cayman Islands, we are used to CUC having a 90. Let me check my little black book of notes here now. What's their uptime? 97% or something. I'm just saying. I got my notes because I came prepared to class today. 90. I don't know. But anyway, we need to talk about peak time and all this good stuff. Listen, Sasha's ready. Sasha, you ready? Class, you ready? Oh, thank you, KK. I know, right? It does this hand thing, this silly AI thing. All right, let's go. Sasha Tibbetts. Sasha, y'all have me so hot this morning. This weather. I can't even remember your official title. I just know that you're the vice president of something and something and something. So give us the title again, will you?
Good morning, Sandy. Thanks for having me again. It's Vice President of Customer Service and Technology.
All right. Boy, Sasha, it is hot. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It is very, very hot. And yeah, you guys just turned up the temperature on us a little bit yesterday with this announcement that has everybody losing their mind. So we need to break it down. When I saw the press statement come out, I thought to myself, I can see now all of the questions and the confusion and the whole 9 yards. So you would know that I emailed your team and said, listen, we need you to come on and really explain this to us, because the last thing that we need at this particular time is any degree of confusion. We need to be very clear about what load shedding is and exactly what CUC is saying in that press statement. So first of all, let's start with that. What exactly does the press release say?
Well, if I could sort of come in with something else a little bit before that.
Okay.
This is not a good news story.
Yeah, that's what I just. I know you probably just logged on, but yes.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've read the comments that have been in various channels and so on, and the concerns are so completely right. We share all of the concerns. One of the things that I noticed as I was looking through the various posts, I looked at our Facebook post, which has a number of comments on it as well, with some good feedback. That is completely understandable. But one of the things I noticed, I said, oh, there's quite a few likes on this. I'm going to see who they are. And I noticed very few, maybe one or two of them are staff. And that's very different. Normally our Facebook posts and our social media posts get a lot of likes from staff. So this one's different. And it's very telling. While that's not a very obvious thing, it's very telling of a situation. You know, all of our staff, all 270 odd of them, 82% of them Caymanian, this is what they live every day. Keep the lights on, keep everybody safe. And to have us coming out and saying, hey, we may not be able to do that, it's a sucker punch for all of them as well as it is for our customers. And so it really is not a good news story at all for anybody that's involved, ourselves included. So I'll just preface that's the sentiment behind it. That being said, it is something that we wanted to make sure that our customers were aware of, such that if the situation does materialize, and I said if, this is not a sure thing, this is an if, we wanted the customers to be aware of how it might happen and how they might be impacted, so that if they want to make any certain preparations, they have the opportunity to do so. Now, the power in any instance can go out for a number of reasons, but this is something that we may have a little bit of notice of. I was overhearing you talking about our reliability in the past, so just the number that you were looking for.
Yes, I know I have it written down in my book somewhere.
Last year, the average customer had 1.7 hours of outage for the whole year. Which is a pretty good number. It's above North American standards, and that's a standard that we hold ourselves to. So,
and what is that percentage wise? Do we know? Is that like 97% uptime?
Close to 99. However, whatever 1.7 is divided by the number of hours in the year, which I think is 8760 from memory. So it's about 99.9 something.
Right.
Percent. It's practically all of the time. So that's where we're at. So what is load shedding, I think, was your first question. Now that I've answered a different question, I'll get to what you actually.
And you know what, Sasha, to be fair, you know, I actually, you may not have heard me saying that, but I said that as well. Listen, 80-something% of CUC employees, 82% are Caymanians. These are our people. Sometimes they're cousins, spouses. Like I know so many people that work CUC, and right now they are, I'm sure, just because of this announcement, are not happy. They're under unprecedented stress. Like I said, I know people right now, like, oh, you know, they're going to be giving their neighbors a side eye because he works for CUC. So this is why it's really important that we understand, because you did say if, and so we'll talk about exactly what that if means, but it's important that we understand exactly what has transpired here. Not only is this not a feel-good story, I must tell you that CUC has done something that in my memory, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever done load shedding before. We're going to talk about it. But if you have, I don't recall you ever giving people a heads up like, hey, this summer is going to be a little bit different and it may be coming. So
we have been here before quite some time ago. I want to say over 10 years ago. I wasn't involved with communications back then, so I can't recall what we did.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure we gave as much information as we could back then as well.
Yeah.
So what is load shedding?
I don't have any advance notice, but we appreciate at least the advance notice this time around. So when you say load shedding, and one quick note, you talk about this uptime of what we've gotten used to. And, you know, I know my students in class are going to say, you know, teachers sometimes she's a little bit tough on us. And I say this with all degree of honesty. You know, as a Caymanian, as someone who's lived in the Cayman Islands, now since I moved back since 96, you do the math, enough years. I think that we're spoiled about a lot of things, you know, and I tell people this all the time. I have no qualms telling people that Compared to the rest of the world, I have fresh water, I have reliable electricity, I have all these amazing things. And yes, we say, well, we pay a premium for it. There are other people, poor people, who, if they could, they'd be paying a premium too, but they can't even afford anything. But, I get it. We have lived a very, very comfortable life, and we're not willing to compromise on that comfort. And I'm not willing to compromise a whole lot on the comfort either. I mean, I'm not sleeping without air conditioning. I'm sorry. That just isn't going to happen. So I think we need to put it in perspective about who we are, what our expectations are, both of CUC, of the government, and then now we're going to get into some of the details. So when you say load shedding, somebody said that's 29 years that you've been back. Thank you. Math really isn't my strong point. But yes, when you say load shedding, what are you guys talking about? What does that even mean?
Okay, so it's maybe I need to talk about how we get there. First of all, so CUC has a number of generation resources. Off the top of my head, I think it's 171 megawatts of installed capacity. And the peak load last year was just short of 125 megawatts. We've this week surpassed that peak load. I believe it's just short of 128 now. So with the quick math that maybe we don't want to do on air, you can see there's a gap between the installed capacity and the load that's on it. But that gap gets eaten up very quickly with units that are down for maintenance, which we have many engines, and they have, like any engine, have to be maintained in periodic intervals. So if you consider that some of these engines are running for most of the year, 24 hours a day, the maintenance intervals are more frequent than once a year. So we almost always have at least one engine down for long-term maintenance. So that'll chew up a bit of the gap. Then you might have another engine that you're doing a short-term maintenance, or you have a failure. Anyway, that gap shrinks rapidly. And that gap, in terms of the difference between what we have installed and what the peak load is what we call reserve margin. And that reserve margin is governed by a lot of terms in our license. And right now our reserve margin is bouncing around the minimum levels, primarily because the load is growing. The load in Grand Cayman has been growing due to the fantastic economic success that the country has been experiencing over the last several years since COVID has gone away, and actually even during COVID. So that growth is there. As you know, we've got a new hotel online, and there's other projects, homes, condo complexes that come online, and that increases the load on the system, shrinking that gap of reserve margin. So what do you normally do when you have insufficient reserve margin? Well, the first thing you have to do is forecast when that's going to happen. And we have a planning team that looks at that way in advance. And we forecasted this for the first time in 2019 when we proposed a solar plus storage project to OFREG to solve the problem. And that project was denied because they wanted to do it in a competitive process. We agreed to disagree on that point because we were so concerned about the load, and we said, all right, well, do your competitive process. Then COVID happened.
Okay, just pause there for a second, because I want to make sure we understand what you just said. Yes. So you said back in 2019, you guys started looking very closely at forecasting.
Yeah.
Right.
Saw it coming.
Your forecasting predicted that you're not going to have enough.
Yes.
And what did you do about it?
We proposed a project to solve it. We proposed something that would have been renewable energy and storage.
That means you went to OFREG? You went to the government? Who did you talk to?
Yeah, so we don't have the ability to just go and install generating capacity. We're not allowed to.
Okay,
under our license. Sasha. So that's a key point.
Sasha, stop right there. Are you kidding me? I need my students in class to pay attention, because I hear people saying that CUC has created this problem. This is all your fault because you should have known what hotels are coming online. You should have known this. You should have known that. but you just said you can't, as a company, CUC can't go out there and decide to expand generation without getting approval from OFREG?
No, it's even more complicated than that. It's not just getting approval. We have to write to OFREG and say, look, we need this capacity. We need to give them 3 years advance notice for when we need the capacity. And then they have to go and procure it. When I say procure it, they have to go and ask companies out there who wants to build this power plant. And then they look at the proposals and they make a selection. CUC it would be one of the bidders in that process, and whoever wins then puts the power plant in. So in 2019 we didn't do it quite that way. We proposed a way of doing it ourselves. OFREG said no, they wanted to do it competitively. COVID happened very shortly thereafter, which put a pause on it, and we got back on it in 2021, and said, look, all right, fine. Time has passed, 13 megawatts is insufficient. Can you please go and procure 23 megawatts of solar plus storage, because now the need is greater.
All right, let me pause you again, Sasha, because, sometimes we're talking and I know that people it takes a minute to soak in. And so I want to make sure that I'm understanding, and by extension, our listeners are understanding. So you have, I'm just going to refer to my little notes here. Sometimes I'm a good student myself and I take some notes. So you have several different types of licenses with.
We have two.
We have two. One is a generation license. And what's the other one?
Transmission and distribution. So the generation license covers the ability to operate the generating units that are named in that license. We do not have the ability to add generation units without going through some process with OFREG.
Right. And so the truth of the matter is, when it comes to generation license, you don't have a monopoly, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, no, that's not been the case since 2008.
Can you say it again for the people in the back of the classroom? You do not have a monopoly
on generation, no.
Electricity in the Cayman Islands.
No, on transmission and distribution, we have exclusive rights.
Okay. All right. And because I hear people all the time saying that you guys have a monopoly on generation, and you're saying since the license was negotiated and redone in 2008.
Yeah, it was completely overhauled in 2008, and there's a lot of good things about the license, to be honest. And I think it has brought about a fair amount of cost savings in respect to base rates and so on. The unfortunate thing about generation in Cayman is the reliance on diesel means that any good work that the utility does is usually superseded by a price hike on fuel costs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So anyway, back to how we get to load shedding
in generation. All right. So, I'm just letting it all sink in. Sometimes you got to take a minute. So in 2019, you did forecasting. You said to OFREG, we foresee a problem. We can resolve it. They said, no, you don't. Let's open it up to competitive bid. What has happened since then? Where's that competitive bid?
What has happened is OFREG started the competitive process in 2021, I believe April. They issued an RFQ, or sometime in 2021 or 21, 22. Oh, I'm getting my years crossed up, but they got a request for qualifications out, and they identified, I think it's 10 different companies to bid into this process, and they're all sort of multinational companies, some of them with elements of local connections as well. And in fact, I think one of them is a local company as well. And those are the companies that are qualified to bid into this process. I really can't say what happened definitively between that and where we are now. I do know that OFREG is, but there's about 2-year gap where not a whole lot appeared to have been happening. That there were a number of things that were going on at the time. The governments came out and said they wanted to control renewable energy, which was something that we were in discussions with them about, but it didn't materialize. But nonetheless, we are where we are now. I do know that OFREG is very, very actively working on this procurement. We get questions from them probably once or twice a week on clarifying pieces of information on what needs to go into this RFP related to PPA requirements and so on, and how these systems would interconnect into the grid. And I know that they've written to the bidders, ourselves being one of them, and saying that we expect this to come out in June. So they are very actively working on it now.
I mean, it took them 5 years to get active is what I've basically heard you say, but continue. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I really don't want to throw them under the bus. They themselves have been working.
Sasha, but
but I can tell you that they themselves have been working under various challenging situations in terms of getting this out. And I don't think it's in many cases, I don't think it's for lack of effort on their part. But they have their own challenges to overcome, and I don't really want to speak about those because I don't really know what they are.
Okay.
But nonetheless, we are where we are, and so they will get this out, and then the projects will go forward.
I mean, it's important to, let me just say this, Sasha. I know you're kind of focused on, okay, we're here now. Let's just, but I think it's important because a lot of the comments that I am reading, and, I'll go through some of them this morning. It's really about how did we get here? And people are asking, why didn't CUC see this coming? Why didn't they do something about it? So to hear you say this morning that you did see it coming, and not only did you see it coming, but back some 5 years ago, you essentially told the government that, yes, this is coming down the pipeline. We need to do something about it, and still nothing has been done. I think perspective is certainly a heck of a thing.
And we actually have done some things about it. So it's not really a fair statement that we've done nothing about it.
Okay.
So last year we leased 10 megawatts of rental generation to get through the summer peak last year.
Okay.
And we were very close last year, not quite as close as we are this year, but I know that there were many a day when there were no more available engines to start, so to speak. And we were running everything that we had, and it was very tight margins. And through the very amazing efforts of our maintenance and operations teams, we didn't have a mishap. And we actually had our best reliability year of all time. And quite frankly, that's possible to be what would happen this year. The difference is we're a little bit tighter. And we're wanting to be a little bit more open with customers on the situation, such that if we do get into a situation where there's a shortage of supply, we're not explaining it at that point. We're able to have this conversation in a relaxed setting. There's no crisis that's ongoing now, and we can explain to people, hey, this is what's going on, this is why it's happening, and this is how it's going to impact you, and this is how we're going to mitigate it.
Wow. All right. So let's talk about load shedding.
First question, which we still haven't answered yet.
What that is and how, because here we go. People are going to start asking questions. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I have a question for Mr. Tibbetts. Why is it that we as consumers can't hook up our own batteries to our own solars without going through CUC? Because I really don't want to have to go through a rolling blackout this summer. And yeah.
Okay. I think we've answered this before. This is the question.
Yeah, let me answer it, because it's a very good question, and I hear it a lot. So there's one caveat that the caller, and thank you, caller, for the question, and thank you for raising it, because I do see it a lot. So the first thing is customers that do want to install solar and storage today, and for almost the last year, we've had programs open for that. So they can do that. The caller did have the caveat of saying, and not have to go through CUC. Well, I'm not sure exactly what he's referring to there. There is a application that you have to apply to connect your system to the grid, which would exist in any well-operated grid. Just number one, so that the grid operator knows about a resource that's on the grid. There's safety issues to check, make sure that the generator is the correct specification and doesn't cause trouble to other customers on the grid. Now, if the caller is talking about not connecting to the grid and actually having solar plus storage and having his home or facility that he's looking to power off grid, that's been something that he's had the right to do since 1960 something.
Stop right there. Stop right there, Sasha. Again, this is something that we need to clarify. So people have this misconception that they can't be independent of CUC in the sense that they can get all of their energy from the sun if they want to do power.
Yeah, and that's always been a right.
Since 1960 something, so over 50 years.
Since whenever they wrote the electricity law, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
So it might even predate our license, to be honest. But truthfully, that's not a fair statement either, because it's very expensive. It's very expensive for that to do that. So customers typically want to have a system that is connected to the grid, so that when their system is down or their batteries run out, the grid can provide backup. That's available today. It's been available for quite some time. Anybody who wants to sign up, service at cuc.ky, they can go onto our website, go onto the renewables tab. The DER and core programs are open, and that's there. So that is an option, and we encourage people to take it. It's there.
So to clarify, you're saying that I could have my own, I mean, if I sign up through one of these programs,
yeah,
I can have my own electricity, store my own electricity, and use CUC as a backup?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you've always had the right to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of misinformation going on around that.
It's important to clarify, for sure.
I think I'm not really sure why, but that has been an option with the DER program for years.
Yeah, it even goes back to this concept that CUC, and I mean, we're going to talk about this because this is a criticism that we get all the time, that CUC is trying to stop, the solar program. You guys are doing the most to take the power away from consumers because you want them to use your old traditional diesel engines and your old traditional way of supplying power. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. But caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning, Sandy.
Yes, ma'am.
That man is sitting there,
yes,
bringing his teeth like it is so funny. The amount of people in Cayman Island and the money they are collecting, they should have dealt with that long before, because they know what is coming up.
But did you hear? Let me ask you a question, Miss Lucille. Did you just actually hear what he said? That in 2019, they forecasted this was going to happen, and they basically told the government about it. Did you hear him say that?
I heard something like that.
Okay, no.
They should pressure the government there.
Let's not hear something like that. This is where you got to pay attention in class now, because I don't want y'all to be failing and making the teacher look bad. I don't want you to hear something like that. I want you to hear exactly what he said. He said they forecasted this 5 years ago, and they notified the regulatory agency that something needed to be done.
So where is the problem come from?
All right, you need to listen a little bit more closely to the discussion today. Now, I'm going to encourage you to rewind that button and listen to what was said, because this bit has been explained. All right, honey, child. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much for that question, because I think a lot of people have that sentiment, and it's a very fair one, right? I mean, it's like I said, this is not a good news story, and it's not something that we're happy about. And quite frankly, if there was something that we could have done, we would have long done it.
Caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning. Just a quick one. The comment that was made just before about the core program and the DER program. As an example, last year, I'm under the core program and asked CUC specifically how I could go about using my partial coverage solar system to then generate energy directly to my home. CUC said that in order to go under the DER program, I would have to have a full coverage system. Otherwise, I would have to feed the energy generation directly to CUC. I'm curious to know, was that false information and should I go back to CUC? Or is that correct? And you can only get to energy directly to your home if you have a full coverage system.
Okay.
So yeah, that does sound a little bit strange to me. If you're on the DER program, the energy that you produce is net metered on the energy level, and you pay for what you use from the grid, and instead of base rates, you're paying demand rates. So it is very different than the core program. You do not have to have full coverage. I'm not sure what you mean by full coverage, but I'm guessing you might mean produce enough to take yourself off grid. And that's certainly not necessary. And we have hundreds of people on the DER program that don't have enough to support themselves 100%.
Okay, I will go back to the persons that I had contacted at CUC, and I'll reference exactly that. Thank you.
And the DER program is open to you.
Okay, thank you, caller. Yes, glad to get some clarity this morning. All right, shall we answer the question about what load shedding means exactly and how it's
it's actually a pretty simple answer, but it's important to have that background that we did have. So if we're in a situation where we do not have enough generating capacity to serve the load that is on the online at that given time, and it's important to understand that load is controlled by customers. It's not controlled by CUC. So it's a function of how many air conditioners are on, how many lights are on, how many people are cooking, how many people are doing the things that they do with their lives with electricity. And if the amount of generation capacity that's available is less than the load, you then go into what's called an overload situation, which our engines can do for short periods of time, but that really does risk severe maintenance damage to those engines. And so typically, to avoid that damage, what our operators would do is say, okay, they'll look, and our control system will show, okay, we're 3 or 4 megawatts short, and they will look for circuits that equal that amount and turn those circuits off. If the load shedding needs to go for an extended period of time, what the operators would do to make sure that no one customer has a very long outage is within, I'm not sure if we've decided on 30 minutes or an hour, but a certain amount of time, what we would do is find another circuit, turn it off, and turn the first one back on. And that's where the term rotating blackouts comes from. Load shedding is the same thing. And and the rotation would occur until the system load drops below the level that the available generation can provide. Mm-hmm. But the only way that we're going to get there is if we have a failure of a generating unit that brings our reserve margin down to zero. Do we expect that to happen? Well, probably not, but is it possible? Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So how, of course, people are asking the question, and before we get to this question, last year you said you were awfully close, right? What happened last year versus this year? What's the big difference between
last year? We saw 9% growth in our peak load from the year before. So that's in real terms is almost an entire engine worth of load. So we went from 113 to 100, just short of 125. So 12 megawatts. Our third largest engine is 12 megawatts. So just to give a sort of reference to what that means. This year, we are expecting somewhere between 128 and 130. We've already hit 127.9. So that was not yesterday, but the day before. And maybe the 130 might get beaten because we're still in May, and the peak load months are usually August and September. Definitely in July as well. Get a little bit more rain in July, so sometimes it doesn't necessarily happen then. So that's where we're at. There are some things on the horizon that are going to make this better. We have an additional block of rental generation that is on the way. We don't have regulatory approval for it yet, but we did proceed with making the order because realized, well, geez, it's about a 6-month wait to get this rental generation on island and connected in the quantity that we need. And so we started that work, and we're still waiting on the regulatory approval for it. The other thing that's going to help is when our battery comes online within the next month or so, that's going to make things a little bit better. So hopefully this is a fairly short time frame that we have to cross over. And once we get into June and July, when those systems are back online or are online, then the reserve margins will be at acceptable levels.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if power outages are necessary, outages will be for periods of 30 minutes an hour within a 24-hour period. They're more likely to happen during peak hours. So let me just make this point and perhaps ask a question here. 3 callers ago, the customers talk about, he wants to be able to basically be on his own for his own power generation. And you were saying, hey, you can do that. That's not a problem. But when
we'll even provide backup supply if he needs it.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm going to get to. When he's going to need it the most, as someone who does have solar, there's a lot of misconceptions about solar, right? So when you have rooftop solar, if you don't have a battery, which in our case, for example, we don't have a battery because we couldn't afford it because batteries are very expensive. So I know that caller, and I don't know how much money he's got set aside for both the solar installation, the solar panels, all of that, plus the backup battery. But if he's like us, watching his pennies a little bit, he may not have money for the battery. So peak hours is going to be when the sun goes down, when everybody gets home. What is your peak 2 hours of the day? What time of day is that?
Between 5:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m.
All right. So when everybody's home.
It says here on the screen 4:30 to 8.
Oh, my apologies. But, peak.
But yeah, it's, I'm just looking at the notice that came from our control room yesterday. Our peak yesterday was at 7:31 p.m.
Mm-hmm. So nighttime, he has no battery because he can't afford battery. Is solar going to be helping him at nighttime?
Not without battery storage, no.
Okay. So
and it wouldn't even, what I've seen is some comments about, well, what about all the solar that's on rooftops? And yeah, so all of that is helping a lot during the day, and I can tell you it is helping. But unfortunately, it can't help us get through those evening hours because the 4:30 there is still sun, but the solar output is down to about 20-30% at that point. So it is reduced, and at 7:31 or 7:45, which is typically when our peak is, there's absolutely no sun. But you could say, all right, well, what about if these homeowners have storage systems? And yes, that is something that can be done to help store the energy and pump it back into the grid at night. Mm-hmm. That is a program that takes quite some time to put together. And I know there are people that are working on it, and there's individuals that are keen on developing that business. It will be interesting to see whether or not that becomes financially viable for the battery owner, or because those small batteries, while they're very functional, they work very well, they are also quite expensive for the amount of energy that they can store. So it'll be interesting, but there are many markets where residential batteries are a shared resource between the homeowner and the grid operator, and the grid operator pays to utilize those batteries in a time of sort of generation shortage. So that is something that we will be looking at. The key to it is really going to be making sure that that the cost of the batteries for the homeowners is affordable, and the second part is that the cost to the grid for those services is in line with the value that they're delivering to the grid.
Mm-hmm. Michael says it don't work at night. Can we get a kaboom?
Kaboom!
All right, Michael, you asked for it.
Is that a thing on your show?
Yes, sir. You must not be a regular listener. Yes, we've got a kaboom request button. All right. So, wowee. This is very, very interesting. Now, another question that people often have is, I see it in the comment section. well, let the rich people go offline first. So they're saying let the hotels go offline, let the rich people go offline, let my neighbor across the street that I don't like very much. This isn't true. I'm just saying this is a sentiment. Go offline. How do you determine who goes offline? And can you specifically say, you know what, we're pissed off at Sandy this week, so we're going to turn her off? Is that how it works?
No, we definitely can't do it at the individual consumer level, unless it's a very big consumer, but typically not. So the way that it would typically work is these are decisions that need to be made fairly quickly, and it'll be done by our control room operators who are managing the grid on a 24-hour basis. And they'll have parameters on how to make those decisions, and they already have parameters on how to make those decisions. And the first thing that they're going to try and do is they're going to try and match the amount of load to the amount of generation resource. Mm-hmm. So if there's more load than generation resource, that's a simple subtraction. Let's say it's 4 megawatts they got to go find. They will go and find a number of circuits that we have in our system that they can open the circuit and disconnect the load, right? Mm-hmm. And when they do that, they will be looking for that 4 megawatts of circuits. Mm-hmm. So in that scenario, they're not going to go, if there's a circuit that say has 8 megawatts, that's not the one they're going to choose. I don't think we have any circuits that are 8 megawatts, but just for example, typically I would expect that we're not going to be looking at anything more than 3 or 4 megawatts at a time. But like I said, hopefully it's 0. In fact, the most likely scenario is that this will not occur. Mm-hmm. But if it is, it's probably not going to be extremely widespread.
Mm-hmm. All right, so some good questions here. Morning, Joanne. Michael says, perhaps this decision has been made to shut down Sandy.
I'll tell you what, I'll send a note to the person that's putting the thing together and let them know to do my circuit first, because I don't feel any better about this than anybody else.
Yeah, no. This actually, I mean, it's not funny, but it's probably not going to impact me because I have a backup generator.
There you go.
So, those of you who are talking, this is to answer Joanne as well. Morning to the beautiful Joanne. Some of you are asking, shut down the hotels. These people have backup generators. So, she's asking, is it going to impact the airport or the hotel? I mean, obviously, there are certain facilities that I guess are on a priority list of don't touch. And I'm assuming that would be the grid or whatever that the hospital's on. Is that how that would work for them?
Yeah, there's a few circuits that have really critical infrastructure on that we have sort of as a last resort type of situation. There's probably only 2 or 3 circuits that are like that. And we've got, don't know the exact number offhand, but it's over 20 circuits now.
Mm-hmm. So that's a good question, Joanne. And I think the bottom line is you probably don't have to worry about those. But again, these hotels, I saw India saying the same thing. We'll take the hotels offline because, whatever. They're not going to be impacted by this, India, because they have backup generators.
Actually, not all of them do. In fact, many of them don't. If they do have a backup generator, it's only for emergency services to do things like keep the lights on, keep the elevators running. But most of them don't have sufficient backup to keep their air conditioners running.
Certainly that wouldn't be any of the dark properties, I'm assuming. So.
No, if you name one of the large hotels, they all fall into that grouping. They've relied, and rightfully so, they've relied on the reliability of the grid here.
I'm going to ask my DART people.
They do have backup generation, but it's not sufficient to provide 100% supply.
Wow,
interesting. At least that's what I understand.
Okay, we're going to ask them. We got them on speed dial as well. Good morning, caller.
Morning. I was listening to the discussion a little earlier when they was talking about customers wanting to have solar. And I want to express what I think that one of the previous callers was trying to articulate, but I'm going to be a little more detailed in the scenario. The way that I think what the sticking point is when people think about using solar and being connected to CUC is that what they're trying to say is that they would like to have their solar, they would like to have a battery, and they would like to be connected to CUC. And if they're using CUC at the time, and for whatever the reason, it goes to their battery, and if their battery is not working, it automatically switches to CUC. Automatic being the operative word, not a manual switch. Can customers do that?
Yes, and they have been able to for years under the DER program.
Okay. When people are using solar, CUC is required to have spinning reserves to take up the slack.
Yeah. Well, actually, CUC is not required to. CUC does do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Theoretically, each generator should provide their own reserves.
Right. But which is the idea behind the battery. But if people don't have a battery, then
CUC picks up the slack.
Connected to your right.
Yeah.
So the truth of the matter is that in this particular situation, there are some people who believe that the way forward in dealing with this rolling blackout is for people to have more solar, but that only puts a greater demand on your network if you take the position that you're going to have reserves. But the essence of what I hear happening is that this program needs to go into over time in order for us to have a proper discussion about off-reg. Because off-reg seems to be failing the country in making timely decisions about critical needs that will impact us financially in very significant ways. It can break legal contracts because you have people out there who is engaged in commerce to perform goods supply services within certain time frames, because otherwise that has knock-on effects. And I think that off-reg needs to appreciate that while they might have power over utilities, they need to understand the negative consequences to the country, generally speaking. When we're sitting here talking about CUC forecasting this challenge years in advance, and the regulatory authorities can't get to the point where CUC is able to meet the demand,
or not even CUC caller, anybody, because they said they're going to make it open to competitive bid. So
right, I agree, but the point that I'm making here is that this is negligent on the part of the government, and the reason it is because whenever you go to build something in this country, you have to go to an architect and spend a lot of money getting plans. And what that means is that the planning department knows what the upcoming power requirements are. They may not know the exact month or the exact date on which someone is going to apply to bring that, have that demand come online. But they know, generally speaking, coming up in the very near future, we're going to need 25 watts, or we're going to need 10 watts, or whatever the amount of megawatts, or whatever the power requirements are. And so it is not outrageously difficult for off-reg to understand that this demand is there. And to me, a regulatory authority should be able to make decisions within the time frame. You say you need 3 years notice. Okay, I understand that there was an emergency. I get it. But if there's a hurricane, you don't say, well, there are certain things we're not going to do because we're in the middle of a hurricane. You make it happen. You do what you need to do. Because if you don't, what you're actually doing is risking bringing the entire network down. That is the electrical grid, if you don't have sufficient supply. And this is not a light matter. I think off-reg, let me see how I could say this. They should get off of their tush and get things done. We shouldn't be in a situation where we're looking like a third world country trying to scrape for enough supply of electricity. No, I'm sorry. Off-reg, you need to make this happen.
I mean, you would think 5 years would be a lot of time, but Denny, we do have several other callers in the line, so we'll go ahead and grab those. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, give me one quick second. We have another caller. Oh gosh, I think they hung up already. All right, well, call us back. My apologies. Good morning to you, caller.
Yes, good morning, Sandra.
Hi there, how are you?
Not bad, and good morning to Mr. Tibbetts and the listening public. A question for Mr. Tibbetts. Sir, so obviously now we're going to need additional electrical capacity. Yep. So my question to you is, you've gone out, you've sourced this, or, it's, as you said, it's coming online.
Yeah, we have some finish your question and I'll start to answer. Apologies.
Sure, no problem. How are you all going to pay for this extra electrical generate capacity?
So it depends on which one you're referring to. So if it is generation that we're putting in to serve as part of a response to a competitive process, we would pay for it out of the way that we finance any capital project, through earnings, through cash, through debt, and so on. And in the same way that we would build a new transmission line or a new substation, etc. The other alternatives are that we talked about on the show is we have our battery project that's coming online. While that can provide capacity services, that's not what it was intended for, but it is certainly capable of doing that. The main intention of it was to provide operating reserves so that while that is online, we can take an engine offline and save fuel. It's actually a cost reduction project that does also provide capacity services. So that project is already funded. It's pretty much already paid for. We're just in the final stages. We'll have final payment within the next few months to make. And that is just like any of the other investments. It's paid for out of earnings. It's paid for out of balance sheet type level investments. Last year we invested just short of $100 million into infrastructure. The year before was a similar number. So there's always different things that we're investing in, and the source of funds is the same. It comes from our balance sheet. It comes from earnings. Which allow us to get access to money to invest in these infrastructure projects. I think there was another element to your question that I'm not sure I've answered.
Let me just pause there as well, because this is one of the comments I saw yesterday, and I actually wanted to ask this, right? There is a criticism that CUC simply isn't investing back in, the business, essentially. So you've said $100 million last year was.
I think it was 98 to be precise, and I think the year before was 96 or. I'm just pulling from memory, so
rounding it up. Yeah.
That's not the financial report number, but it's approximately that number. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And those financial reports, if anybody,
they're publicly available.
They're available on our website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but essentially, why I was asking that question was to ask you then, if it was anyway now that this cost was going to be passed on to the consumer?
Not specifically. So the cost of these sort of things is recovered through rates.
Mm-hmm.
And would that come through rate increase?
The rate increases that we would have on an annual basis are not related to this. They're related to inflation levels, and they're tied to inflation.
Okay, thank you so much, caller. Some good questions this morning.
Thank you for that.
Yes, very good questions. So again, let me just stress this, and I want to make sure that everybody's paying attention, because I still see people commenting as though y'all are really not paying attention. And you know, I don't like to fail people, but some of y'all are going to definitely get an F. All right. So in my notes, and I just want to confirm what you've said, because I think this is the same sort of situation. $97.6 million is, and we don't have to be specific, you said 100, that's close enough, is put back into developing the infrastructure of your company. So what does that mean? That's new engines, that's, where are you guys spending this money?
Substations, new transmission lines, engine upgrades, batteries. The batteries was a big piece of last year's money. We just did 2 new substations, one at the top of Shamrock Road, at the top of Marina Drive, Shamrock Road intersection, and one in behind the Burger King on 7 Mile Beach. Those are fairly, well, not fairly, extremely modern systems that'll serve the country for the next 40, 50 years easily. But they're big investments.
Now, is this a true statement? Yes or no? Capital expenditure, which is what you were just talking about there, is greater than CUC's profit. Is that a true statement?
You know, yes, undoubtedly. And in fact, just looking at a chart that somebody sent to me, I guess they must be listening in to the show, and it shows that is a true statement, at least going as far back as 2013. But I mean, I've been with the company since, I want to say, maybe 1998, and as far back as I can remember, we have always reinvested more than we've earned in any given year. There may be some anomaly years in there where that's been different, but in general, the reinvestment level is greater, and that's typical of any well-run utility, to be honest. You know, we have assets that were installed 30 years ago. If you think about poles serving some of the older neighborhoods of the island, those poles are at end of life. Those wooden poles, they last 30 years at best, maybe 35. So now we have to take that pole that we might have paid $70 for back in 1980 something and replace it with a pole that is maybe $800-900 today to serve the same customers. So it's an investment that's made to refresh the infrastructure, and much of that investment is just to keep the infrastructure up to date.
My apologies, Sasha. I know you had a hard stop at 8:30. We're not the best at watching time here.
I'm actually good until an hour more than that. So
okay, let's keep going, honey. Yeah.
Pretty hard at 9:30 though.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. This is an important topic, so I want to make sure we're understanding what's going on here. Okay. So the other really big misconception, and I think, again, this comes back to what people's kind of managing people's expectations, right? So this concept of this 15% regulated return, double-digit return, that also went away in 2008 when your contract was renegotiated. So you no longer get a double-digit fixed return of 15%.
No, it fluctuates a little bit, but on average, it's close to 7%.
Interesting. Let's talk about construction rates in this country.
Which interestingly is less than mortgage interest rates today.
Yeah. Let's talk about what has happened with construction in this country. The past 5 years.
Thank you, Zoe.
How much construction has been going on in this country? Do you guys keep a watch, obviously?
I can't really say in terms of construction, but obviously you look around. I mean, one of the things that when it's a very simple analysis, but I know a number of times when we've been doing these forecasts, one of the data points is how many sky cranes are up. right? When you're out in the North Sound and you look back at the land, count the sky cranes, that's indicative of load that's coming 2 years from now. And that's one of the other data points that we look at is we get data from BCU on building permits that are issued. And we look at the larger ones. Larger ones usually take 2 to 3 years to come online from the time that the building permit is issued. But that's usually a very good indicator of, okay, here's load coming. The other thing is large developers will contact us and they need us to build infrastructure to serve, whether it's a neighborhood that they're doing, a hotel, a condo complex, etc. We see these things coming, and so, which is why we're able to forecast. And the other thing is the country just always, I mean, I've been with the company since 1998, and the number of customers that we have has almost always grown at about 2 or 3% per year, right? So just the number of meters, connections that we have active seems to very steadily grow at 2 or 3%. We'll have some years where energy sales might grow much greater than that, or much less, which has also happened. But the number of customers is almost always 2 to 3% growth per year, right? And those customers need load, right? Right now, 2 or 3% is 3 or 4 megawatts each year.
Right. Wow. Let's have a look at some of these graphs that you were
that's
talking
the graph
about
I was
earlier.
talking about. Yep, there you go.
We have 2 different ones. I'm not sure what the difference is between the 2, but perhaps you can help.
So the green bars is our earnings in millions of dollars for the last 10 years. So there's a fairly steady amount there. It is growing. Some years you can see it dip, some years it goes back up. Last year was a lot of growth, primarily driven by the high consumption, driven by the high temperatures of last year. And then the yellow line is the amount of investment, capital investment that we put into the infrastructure. So you can see, and they're both on the same axis. So you can see that in any given year we're spending more on infrastructure for the future than we are earning in that given year. In 2015, that spike there is related to the last power plant that we put on, which was came online in 2016. That was a 40 megawatt, 2 diesel engines and a steam turbine that was done through the only competitive process that it was run through the ERA back then. OFREG didn't exist. And so we had a competitive process like we're about to have now. Back then, CUC was the winner. There were a number of other competitors that weren't selected, I think primarily on price, to be honest. But that was the investment that we did in that year.
Damien says even kerosene is now $8.
Or is it really? Wow.
Oh, I
haven't bought kerosene in a very long time.
Neither have I. But pretty wild. Somebody else I think was saying that
one of your
not what it used to be.
One of your callers put in a comment. I believe the person's name was Alberto, and it was talking about not a caller but a commenter. It popped up on your screen, and I realized it's something that we should talk about. He was asking, what can people do?
Yes, I think I've got some. So let's get to some questions. I think I did tag that one actually.
Yeah, so he was asking, what can people do to help with this situation? Is there things that they can do? And the answer is absolutely. So,
because ultimately you guys don't control consumer usage. I mean,
like I said at the beginning, it really is a situation that as a utility you don't want to get in, where you're asking people to not use your products to make their lives better. But for people that do want to be a part of the solution, some of the things that they can do is think about how they use their electricity between the hours of 4:30 and say 8:30 in the evening is when the problem is perhaps the worst. And so what can they do to reduce their electricity usage in those times without making any significant change in their lifestyle and their comfort levels and so on. Probably the biggest thing that they could do is maybe increase their thermostat by 1 or 2 degrees. Obviously the standard stuff of make sure your AC is serviced, make sure you've got your windows, your windows and so on sealed well so your house isn't leaking cold air out. And all the standard energy efficiency things. For those people that are considering spray foam, now is a very, very, very good time. That's an investment that's cash positive for consumers from the very beginning. Spray foam we're seeing customers that are installing it getting 20 to 25% reduction in their electricity bills. It would help as well. For customers,
I think I gotta maybe ask somebody to look and see if I need any more of that.
I think once you got it the second time, it isn't as good.
Yeah.
Whether it's spray foam or other insulation. If you're considering an insulation investment, this is the year to do it.
Yeah. Because I mean, the heat wave is ridiculous. Somebody was sending me something yesterday about Pakistan and all these countries, monkeys in Mexico dropping out of trees because of the heat wave already. And we're not at the peak of that. So, I mean, we have to start thinking as ourselves as consumers that we have a part to play in this. You know, just a couple of days, maybe a week or two ago now, I noticed that I don't know what happened to the front door. I don't know if doors like drop after time, but there was a huge gap all of a sudden at the top of my door. And I'm thinking, when did that gap? Like you could actually see the light coming in, right? And of course, I was more concerned about bugs getting inside. But to your point, when the AC is on, that's an easy escape route that's complete wasting of air conditioning, you know?
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as leaving the door open, but it's not a good thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are things that we as consumers can do, and we need to think carefully about what some of those things are. You know, yesterday I was thinking about the types of homes that we're, constructing and where we're spending our money, even at the construction phase of a home, can really be detrimental to you later on when it comes to energy efficiency. So we do have a couple questions and comments that have come in. So this person says, tell Sasha to not let these ignorant people get to him and keep his cute smile going. Some of us are appreciating the delivery with a sweet smile. Someone at Off-Rag is on a power trip to the demise of us all. This other person said, I appreciate
if I can say something there, first of all, thank you for the comment, but none of these people that are making comments are ignorant. These are valid concerns that consumers are bringing, and I am thankful for them, because it gives us an opportunity to explain what's really going on. And I do appreciate the feedback that we are getting from all of the folks. And I'm reading through the comments, and it's clear to me. The one thing that's clear to me is we need to do a lot more communicating so that people have the facts.
Yeah, let's give you a kaboom. Because, there's something in the world of communication, Sasha, that you've got to say something about 25 times for people to really understand it. So although I have paused you at several intervals this morning and said, nope, explain this, break it down. There are people who've been listening the whole time who are still in the comment section asking the exact same question that was already answered, because they're just not understanding it. So I think when this person said ignorant people, they meant it from the perspective that although it's been explained, there's some people who their level of understanding might vary. And of course, again, that's why, like you said, the thing to do is keep repeating the message over and over again, and hopefully people get the correct information. It's like the whole thing about, your license being, everybody's like, oh yeah, well, I see comments all the time on social media. They're guaranteed a 15% return. Why is this? And I'm like, okay, that hasn't been the case since 2008. And how is it that people are still holding on to that bit of information some 16 years later is astonishing. And how do you not correct information in 16 years? It's pretty wild. All right, this person says, well, I appreciate CUC letting me know to plan accordingly. They could have just simply said nothing. One person has a question to say, we have solar panels and have batteries. It's my understanding that some of our energy goes to CUC, for which we have a very small credit dollar amount in our bill. Could Mr. Tibbetts explain why?
Okay, so I think the question is, I assume the question is why is it small? Not why is there a credit. The credit is because they're selling electricity to CUC and they're being paid for it. Right. The reason why it is small is that I'm not sure what program that they are on, but each program has its own sort of sell to the grid rate, and so whatever energy that they do sell, I don't know what the quantity is that they're selling. We pay them the rate that's in the agreement that they signed up for. So in some instances, I'm thinking now the programs that are open, the buyback rates are between 15, one's 15, one's 17 and a half, and another one is 15 point something. So that's the approximate cents per kilowatt hour that we pay for, depending on the various programs. Some people are on programs that are older that have much higher rates from when the program was subsidized, and those individuals would be paid, I think, up to 38.5 cents was the highest amount.
Mm-hmm. I think the question is, if he has battery, why does he, going back to this point of why does he need CUC at all? Because there's sometimes there's not enough.
Well, that's a question I would want to ask him. I assume he's connected to CUC because maybe the battery is not large enough, or the solar is not large enough to keep that that particular home powered for 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So they're probably still connected to us to fill in their gaps, which is fine. And so I'm guessing that's what it is. I don't know the specific scenario, but in general, that's probably how it's working.
Yeah, because even with a battery, I mean, it depends on your usage, right? You may still need CUC. So I go back.
It depends on how much you need to store. Right. So I mean, my house, for example, I use somewhere between 35 and 55 kilowatt hours a day. I don't have solar because I'm in a condo and they don't have solar there. And so if I were to have to get batteries, I would probably need solar large enough to provide that amount of energy, first of all, and then batteries that large enough to store that amount of energy as well. So even in that condo, it's a significant amount. It would probably be 10 to 15 kilowatts of solar and maybe, I don't know, 50 kilowatt hours of batteries, which is fairly a big investment and definitely would not fit in my apartment.
Yeah, the batteries are quite big. Okay, more questions coming in. This person says, oh yes, we got an answer from the DART organization. Thank you so much, Ben Mead. We asked them the question. Let me just hold on one second here.
Basic safety systems, life safety systems.
Right.
Yeah.
We asked this question about, what's included. You have full capacity to run AC units. So he replied to this and said, so the answer is, let me first give the question. Of course, knowing what I asked them.
Oh, they've got ice storage at Hotel Indigo. That's very cool. Yeah. I did not know that.
There. Here, hold on one second. So my question was, do your hotels have backup generators to run your facilities in case of blackouts? Run meaning AC, lights, etc. And so they came back and said the answer is yes. The hotels have the ability to operate lights and fire suppression systems. However, they do not have the ability to service all cooling loads, with the exception of Hotel Indigo, which of course we know.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm really impressed to see that what they've done here at Hotel Indigo,
which was designed to service all cooling systems and shift peak demands using ice storage technology. So wow.
Yeah. So that's a system that they've designed to reduce their demand, their peak demand on the grid, which is a really good thing. It's gonna bring them a lot of savings in doing that.
So, companies, I mean, obviously they can afford to do so. They're making an investment to help themselves. Yeah. So big shout out to Hotel Indigo. There you go. So another response was from another member of their team, says, hey, Sandy, we will review the specifications and provide further details. I believe Kimpton Seafire does more than just life safety, has the common areas, restaurants, etc., and generators. Also, Cayman Bay has generators for full service in most buildings, And there have been times when CUC has requested we run our generators to reduce the loads. Again, we will revert with the details. Wow, that's good.
No, we have at times in the past asked large customers to exercise their generators as an option, and they've in many cases graciously chosen to help out.
I can't believe what you just told me, Sasha. I can't believe what Dart has just said, because again, as a consumer, I didn't know this, and this makes a big difference about how I even feel about the Dart organization, right? So the fact that you can ask them, hey,
and it is an ask, and we're looking right now to create a program that might be able to bolster that even further, but it's probably not going to come in this year. It'll be a solution for next year, perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Because when you look at, if you think about all of the commercial buildings that have backup generation, and you look at we call it embedded generation in the industry. There's a whole lot of generation that's just sitting off grid. If there was a way of accessing that for emergency supplies, that would be useful.
Now, I'm guessing that a lot of my students are not paying attention. I'm bringing out my little. You're gonna get it on the wrist. If I randomly call somebody right now and ask you to,
taking me back about 35 years there, Sandy.
I bet you guys are not even paying attention. But listen, they have just said, and a member of the Dart organization said, yes, we've been asked before, and whenever we can run our own generators, which they're doing so at their expense, because that's diesel that they're then spending and whatever. They do it already to try to help the load. I mean,
that hasn't happened yet this year, but it has happened in the past. We try very hard not to ask, and it really is it is the second to last resort.
Yeah. Okay. That's fantastic to know. All right. So more questions coming in. Let me see. I think this one. Oh, yes. So this person says, this makes me wonder about water. Are we going to have plenty of that, and about how high we're going to fill the dump, and do we get enough ambulances and fire trucks in the event of a large scale event and normal coverage at the same time? So I think the general question here is, in terms of Cayman's growth outpacing infrastructure development. So this person says, hey, Sandy, do you know, or CUC knows the answer to, if you're importing your own solar panels and battery backups, would it be duty free?
I believe the answer to that is yes. I don't know the process on how to do that, but I do believe that solar and storage systems are duty free.
Someone is saying if you could ask Foster's as well to help out. Does most of the grocery stores have backup generators?
In most cases, yeah.
Okay. All right. So another question here from a listener. Morning, Sandy. Can you ask Sasha to explain how the CORE program works and why the man on the street is subsidizing this program and the money people with the funds to afford solar?
Boy, so that's a hot potato.
Question.
That's a hot potato. It's an old hot potato, but it's a hot potato.
Yeah.
So the CORE program is a fairly simple program. Customers put solar systems on their homes, and they connect those solar systems either to their house or to the grid. And CUC buys all of the energy that comes out of the system at a fixed rate. So what that means is that the customer that invests in that knows that they've, as long as the system's running, they've got a fixed income stream to fund it. And that income stream comes in the form of a credit on their bill. So we buy the energy, and then we sell that energy on to the consumers at large through the grid. If the cost of that energy is higher than the average cost of energy on the grid, that particular system is causing the average cost of energy to go up. If it's a small system, it's barely measurable. But when you have a large population of solar systems that are in those programs, it does make a difference. In the past, I'm not conscious of what the number is now because I haven't looked at it recently, but in the past, the sort of program aggregate difference has been as high as $3 million a year. I suspect with the price of fuel today, it's probably less, significantly less. So But that is how the program works, and it is how the energy flow and cost of those systems flow through to the general consumer.
All right, caller, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, and to your guest there. Just a quick question.
Good morning.
Was I never hear that did CUC ever got an answer back from Off-Grid about why wasn't the reason that they were denied this extra generating capacity?
In 2019, when we proposed the 13 megawatt solar project that CUC would have owned, and Off-Reg advised us that their opinion was that they couldn't approve it because of the required competitive process for generation that exists. And so we said, okay, well, this is greatly needed, but we understand. So let's get the competitive process going. So the short answer was they said no because it needed to be competitively tendered.
Okay. So who was? Then they gazetted the tendering process, or how did that work?
I think they're still working. What he said earlier is that they're still working on what the requirements will be, and they're asking CUC for feedback on. I mean,
that's very, very, very close to being issued, from what it seems. There's comments that are going back and forth on the structure of the PP, and I think that's the end of the work to be done. I expect that it would be issued within the next weeks.
Okay. Thank you, caller. Thank you. You're most welcome. And
thank you.
I see somebody getting frustrated, asking if people are not listening, but I want y'all to listen to what I said earlier. I said on average, you got to repeat things like 15 times for it to really sink in. So sometimes it's not a question of whether or not your ears can hear the information. It really comes down to understanding. And some people might be in a state of disbelief. They said this is painful. They might be in a state of disbelief about what they're hearing. So maybe that's why it hasn't sunk in. So we're going to keep saying it until everybody understands it. Good morning, caller.
Hello. Good morning, Sandra. How are you today?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. Good morning, Sasha. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. Thank you for calling.
Yes, sir. Sasha, I have a question which I'd like to ask. One moment. Yeah. Okay. So
everybody's multitasking this morning.
Pardon?
No, you said
everybody's multitasking this morning.
Yeah.
Yep. No, the airplane's flying over my head. Because of the fact that the highest energy consumption, as you have mentioned, and as I think we all know here as homeowners in the Cayman Islands, that the air conditioning is going to basically be the highest draw that we have.
Yeah, about 60 to 70%.
Pardon?
It's about 60 to 70% of the average residential usage.
There we go, right? So along with encouraging installation, whether it be before or after house construction or building construction, which is wise, there's also the potential possibility of Cayman, encouraging the implementation of geothermal cooling systems here in the Cayman Islands. And I would like to know, does CUC have an opinion on that? Would CUC stand in the way of homeowners, new or post-construction, moving towards implementing geothermal cooling systems? I know that there's a few folks in Cayman who have been able to implement as such. And I'd just like to hear your thoughts on that subject and the potential that it may have for not only reducing Cayman's energy needs, but helping people with their own economies that within their own households.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, sir, thank you very much for that question. It is really the core of the problem right there. In Grand Cayman, our average energy usage for a household is double that of the second place country in the Caribbean. It's triple of the average for the Caribbean. And that is primarily because of air conditioning. For whatever reason, Cayman has access to far more air conditioning than the rest of the Caribbean. And that's maybe that's because we've been able to afford it in the past. But obviously that is something that is becoming unaffordable. And there's really three solutions to the problem, and two of them are I think are very good. Number one, insulation. Number two is high efficiency air conditioning. With those two solutions, when you compare it to an uninsulated home and a low efficiency AC system, can reduce energy usage by as much as 50% in a home. We've done this, we've tested it in sample homes where we've done these sort of retrofits to prove it out. That is very much the key to reducing things. Unfortunately, those systems cost money, and not everybody has the $10,000 or $20,000 to retrofit their home. But I'll stand here and beg people that are in the process of building a home, please make those decisions. Choose the insulation, choose the high efficiency air conditioning units, choose the good windows. Do all these things to help yourself manage your home expenses when you have the opportunity to make the decisions. So I'm very happy to hear that you brought up energy efficiency. It is a huge part of the solution, but it is not something that we can do in a month's time. But we need to have a culture in the country where we don't waste energy. And if we don't have insulation in our homes and we don't have high efficiency appliances and air conditioners, all we are doing is wasting energy and in the process wasting money. Yeah.
Right. I mean, Sasha, that buy-in is the definitive factor for everybody here in the Cayman Islands, whether they are building their home or they would like to improve the efficiency of their pre-existing home.
Yeah.
If they are a homeowner.
Yeah.
It's the best decision that they can make in terms of what they invest their money in.
Yes. And like I said yesterday.
Absolutely. So definitely it would be wiser for a homeowner to
yes, 100%.
in higher
Please do.
appliances, higher efficiency.
Yes.
Windows X, Y, and Z, as opposed to maybe getting that beautiful leather couch.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And the granite countertops.
So
but we talked about this yesterday, caller, and sometimes it's just lack of, people don't know and they don't understand, and your architects aren't telling you anything, your contractors aren't telling you anything. So my suggestion yesterday was maybe it's time that planning started to make some of these things a requirement. Like, you shouldn't be able to build a concrete house without proper insulation. Come on now.
Yeah, mandatory insulation standards and efficiency standards for air conditioners, long overdue.
Dictating those decisions. And if somebody is not able to financially incorporate those high efficiency windows, high efficiency air conditioning systems, then I don't think it would be right to force that individual.
Then what you're going to do is force them to have higher CUC bills, which they're not going to be able to pay either.
Well, I get that, but this is a reality that lots of people have to contend with. So
yeah, but you also admitted that caller, you also admitted that consumers are making decisions. So you said forgo the leather couch. I talked about yesterday the example of the lady who did the CUC audit. She decided not to do insulation, but wanted the granite countertop instead. That's where her money went.
Which does not make sense.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. We need to educate our people.
Thing would not be wise, I don't think.
Yeah. All right, caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for bringing the topic up. Really appreciate it.
Geothermal, please. Sasha, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the geothermal conditioning systems and where you or CUC stands on that potential that it would have to reduce the amount of energy usage in Cayman, not only from the power generation standpoint and CUC's perspective, but also
it is available. It is available, and from what I understand, I've not experienced geothermal cooling myself, but everybody that I know that has good experiences with it. It tends to be a lot more expensive, but it also, I think the systems also last longer, if I recall. And it really is a decision for people to make. It is, from what I understand, typically even more more energy efficient than some of the highest efficiency air-cooled systems, but it is also a lot more expensive. So it really is somebody to think about. You can get to very good efficiency with air-cooled, and then you can get even beyond that with geothermal. I think where the sweet spot ends up in terms of cost effectiveness for money into energy efficiency versus the cost of electricity tends to be very good insulation and a very good as lower cost and high efficiency air conditioning systems, which sometimes is geothermal, sometimes it's going to be air cooled, but the insulation really does help a lot with the air conditioning load in the first instance.
Okay, thank you, caller.
I'd like for us as a country, the government, to start looking at the possibility of helping people to achieve geothermal. If it's an idea and it's a technology that should be pushed forward,
and it works.
It is a possible solution, and it works.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate it.
Great day.
We do have some additional questions. Someone is actually weighing in on this geothermal situation. They're in the industry, and they have shared the following comment. Let me just pull this up on the screen here. So they said, morning, Sandra, architectural design is a big factor. And I was trying to talk about this yesterday. Keep in mind, I'm no expert, but I can tell you what, when the AC man tells me that modern style house isn't the best for, the conduit of like heat and airflow, we got a problem. Building a house, modern style, flat roof with no overhang, without energy efficient windows, blinds, and insulation will have a high impact in energy consumption. The reality is that we do advise clients, but they are and were more concerned about style versus substance. Class, are y'all paying attention? Style versus substance. They go on to say that geothermal AC is not cost effective. Maintenance is a big issue with geothermal, and apparently the government admin building has geothermal. Now, the point is not lost on me if I connect the dots, where the person says geothermal AC is not cost effective, but yet government has it. And we know that eventually we're all paying the bills for government as well. So that's this person's opinion. There you go. All right. Mr. Sasha, got about 15 minutes left with us. So let us ensure that this opportunity counts. Here, by the way, is the graph that he was referring to earlier about our consumption. Yeah. So this is 2022. The 2023 one isn't out yet from the independent regional agency called CARELEC. So they compare all providers regionally. And so you can see Cayman versus all these other countries. They used to name the countries. I don't know why they took the names. Now they just say country A, B, C, whatever. Oh, I think you guys might have done this. I think CARELEC actually names them. It's gonna flip. Originally, the other countries, I guess, didn't want the data shared. We get it all, but they had asked for it, no naming and shaming. But I think that's changed now, and future versions will have countries named. Yeah, we need to know the names. I mean, it helps a lot of different things. So anyway, it looks. There's another graph that's just like that looks at our rates versus the other islands, and we're kind of middle of the pack. Yeah. So the crazy thing about this is, I mean, look at our usage compared to the two closest countries, which would be country G and K. It's almost double. It is double. It is double. It's about double. Yeah. That's pretty wild. I mean, I got to tell you the truth. This is when I say that we've gotten used to a certain lifestyle that we're not going to budge on. That's proof positive that that's no lies have been told there. Yeah, if you compare us to, for example, Florida, though, we're fairly on par with Florida, and I think a large part of that is because a lot of the construction techniques and so on that we use here are modeled in some respects after what's used in the U.S. as well. Yeah. All right. So Zoe says some supermarkets have geothermal as well. It sounds like it is effective for bigger buildings, not for small homes. Yeah, the economies of scale really make geothermal good. So I heard your comment there about the government building, but I think that was a really good decision on their part. I know a lot of the
supermarkets and even some of the bulk food places use it for their freezers and so on. And it is very effective in those large scale. And in fact, CUC uses it to cool the vast majority of our engines. So we don't use radiators, we use geothermal cooling from the groundwater.
So Joanne says, how much warning will we get if it needs to happen on any given day? But based on what you said earlier, your engineers or your technicians in the control room, they're going to have to make it like on the spur of a moment, right? So we're not going to.
Maybe it depends. It depends on what brings it about. And this is a really good question. So thank you, Joanne. If this shortfall is going to come about because we've had a failure that needs to get addressed, right? If that failure occurs at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be a non-event. We'll know by the time 8 o'clock comes around, what is it going to take to fix that piece that's broken. If we know, okay, well, we're not going to be able to address that for a day, we know that unit is not available for the peak load for that day, and we can do some forecasts and say, yep, it's going to not work out well. And we can then start getting on comms. So best case scenario, we would be maybe a few hours in advance. If we have that failure occur in the middle of a peak load, we'll unfortunately be communicating after the fact, which is why it was important to us to get out ahead of this, because we may have notice, we may not.
Wow.
So for example, last night,
just depends, yeah.
we were operating, serving, we were peaking last night at about, I think, 126 megawatts. And I think we had 10 or 12 reserve online. If we had a 16 megawatt engine trip last night, but for whatever reason, we would have been short, and we would have been right then in a blackout situation for a few circuits. So but we didn't have a trip, we didn't have a failure, but these are mechanical devices and electronic devices, and they do and they can fail without notice. Now, we have a very robust maintenance program where we keep up to date on all of it. If you think of your oil changes in your car and so on, all of these things we do at the recommended intervals. We work with manufacturers to prevent these failures from happening. And our forced outage rate, which is a technical term that the industry uses, is very, very low. And our maintenance folks have done a fantastic job at making that happen, but it's not zero, right? So it is entirely possible that these things can occur, even though that it is unlikely.
Okay. So someone just clarifying about their comment about the government at geothermal. They're saying that, which one was that? Hold on. Oh, there we go. My comment on geothermal at CIG building wasn't about that one being cost effective. I should have clarified that it's used for large scale, but not feasible for residential unless it's a mansion. Next person says, thank you, Mr. Sasha Tibbetts, for communicating to the public today. He did a very good job explaining and helping us understand. We still need a public meeting with OFREG and government and CUC. Another person says, good morning. Thanks for this segment. Can we save on electricity if ACs are turned on only when we are inhibiting the rooms in use? For example, I usually turn...
As in turn off when you're not there, please do. That's a waste of electricity.
Yes,
I had this conversation in a chat group with some of my guy friends yesterday.
Yes.
Look, don't leave your air conditioner on when you are not home. If you do, 82, 80, some high temperature just to keep the air dry, but do not leave your air conditioner on while you are out. You're wasting money.
Caller, good morning. Quick question or comment?
Neither one, because I don't know what subject you're on. I just turn on the radio.
No, honey chan. Let me call you after our guest is leaving. He's just got a few more minutes with us. So this is specific to CUC and their big announcement yesterday. So we want to stay focused for this segment of the class. Okay, honey chan?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you, darling.
I'm listening now.
I appreciate it so much. All right. Today is not the day for that one. We'll call her afterwards. All right. So does government admin and banks have backup generators? So I'm glad that Sasha actually mentioned this, because this is a good point that I didn't even think about with my own, because of course I didn't have to do this part of it. That was Marlon's job. But when you have a backup generator, normally your generator doesn't run everything. So we had to go through and decide. They had to go into the little panel box and everything and decide specifically what is it that's going to be on that backup generator.
Critical loads, yeah.
Yes, the essential stuff. So
like your server room.
We pick certain rooms, exactly. So you're not going to be sitting here chilling out watching TV when the power goes out. But for my purposes, like this room running my studio was critical. And so this is definitely one of the items that's on it.
And that's typically the approach that most businesses will take is, okay, well, backup is expensive. Let's back up only the things that are most important.
Exactly. So Mr. Raymond was in the Raymond Barnes was in the comment section, and he saw somebody said that, oh, they want a discount or whatever. He says, you understand that you don't pay for outages because there's no power to consume. That is kind of funny, but it's a good point. So I think that point might be lost in a few people because they think, oh, well, the power's out. You need to compensate me for that, but you're not paying anything when the power's out. In fact, CUC might be saving you some money by turning out the lights.
Yeah, it is still extremely inconvenient, though.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Johan, good morning. He was commenting earlier. Johan said, let me find Johan. He says, oh gosh, what did Johan say? Oh, there we go. He said, I support CUC and I'm grateful for the consistency and quality of service they supply that makes Cayman, and puts in quotes, first class. He goes on to say that buildings don't happen overnight. They take years from the date that they get planning permission before they need a permanent electricity connection. And CUC tracks planning permissions to project load growth, etc. So how could they not see this coming? So I think you've answered that you did see it coming.
We saw it coming.
And it was forecasted and the government was informed. So Johan went on to say that for him, his priorities is Euro 2024, Copa Cup or Copa America, plus the Olympics. Yep.
Johan, sounds like you need a little generator for your internet connection, your television, and the sound system, and maybe a
all of this is happening this summer. So my TV, cable, satellite TV, and internet must work. # just saying. And on that note,
I couldn't agree more.
That demonstrates how incredibly spoiled we are. But point taken.
Yeah, I mean, Sandra, I guess we're going to wrap up pretty soon, but I did want to close with a couple of things. Number one, this is not a sure thing. That we do not know of the outages happening. What we do know is we're operating at below optimal levels for reserve margin. It's driven primarily because of the significant load growth that the country has seen with the economic boom that's happened over the last 2 or 3 years. There are a couple of things that are on the way that are going to alleviate that gap or increase the gap on reserve margin. Our battery project, we have 10 megawatts of rental generation coming online, and then there's a unit that's off for a large upgrade that will come back sometime in June. When those 3 things happen, this issue or this risk will be severely mitigated, and we go through the rest of the summer and we'll be doing okay. So the whole purpose of the press release was to get ahead of what could have been a really bad issue from a standpoint of being able to communicate to our customers about why power outages were happening. The power outages, like I said, they're not scheduled, but they are possible, and there's a high chance of them happening. And we wanted to make sure that customers were appropriately informed so that they could have a good understanding of why it is happening. And I thank you for the almost 2 hours that we've had today to talk about this. And as you were noting, it is a difficult topic, and sometimes people miss things, and we're going to need to say things a couple more times. So I'll happily come back on and do this show all over again if you'll have me, and talk to customers, take their questions, and give them as much information as they can get.
Yep. Very good. It sounds fantastic. Damien says transparency. He's here for it. Thank you very, very much. Joel says, as Sasha mentioned earlier, having asked DART and other large corporations to use their generators to reduce load occasionally, isn't that a clear solution of having these large corporations contribute that reduction and a regular, especially now with 20-story buildings coming on board?
There's a 20-story building?
I don't think it's 20 stories.
Maybe soon.
Oh, God, please, no. But anyway, I think the point is you can certainly ask. And again, people are good corporate citizens. They don't have to do it, Miss Jewel, to be clear. But we have seen.
We sincerely appreciate when they do. It's really helpful. It helps the whole country.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Sasha, we really appreciate it. We wanted to get ahead of this as quickly as possible on this morning's program. Sometimes there's nothing quite like just sitting down and having a proper conversation, being able to ask questions, hash it out. And I think we've done a lot of that here this morning. Joanne says we only run the AC for a few hours in the evening anyways, and don't run it 24/7. So we sleep just with the fans. Therefore, I'm not too bothered about it off in the night. Good for you, Joanne. Good for you. All right.
Maybe you can turn it on at 9 p.m. instead of 7 p.m.
Outside those peak hours. All right. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it. I'm sure we'll see you again, Sasha.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. All right, folks. There you go. That's how we do it here on the Cold Hard Truth, bring you the information live and direct as quickly as possible. And you get to ask the questions. I think there's a lot of clarity, hopefully, that we were able to get today. So give me a quick second. We do need to talk about this fiasco there in North Side yesterday. We're going to get to that. I need to get me a little tablet because I got a headache. I legitimately have a headache. So I think I need to watch my pressure. I'm gonna test it after the show today. Yeah, y'all turn up the heat on me, making my pressure go up. All right, so we will do the pressure check-in this morning, honey chill. When you check your pressure, you can't be talking. You just sit still, calmly put the cuff on. So we'll do that after the show. Okay. Let me grab a headache tablet, take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be right back after these messages. Chilling. What's going on? Yes, I had to grab some Advil. I was actually looking for the Tylenol, but Lord have mercy. I don't know where that is. So I'm going to take an Advil. I think the Tylenol would have been better because that was extra strength. This one's only 200 milligrams. Right now, I feel like I need 1,000 milligrams. Anyway. For the last week, I've been having this headache almost daily. And I'll tell you what, I think it's that occipital nerve thing that I've told you guys about, where it's like the back of the head, but then it kind of expands and comes around. And it's just, once that nerve is a little bit pinched. Now, they've told me the real solution to that is go get an injection in the back of my neck. Whew, Lord Jesus. Somehow that does not sound like fun. But if it continues, I might have to just suck it up and get it done. But ooh. like an injection in the back of my neck. Like they put it right in the nerve to kind of give you some relief. Anywho, massage also helps. I think I'm going to go see the masseuse this week as well. I got a gift certificate for my birthday that I still have not used. Pam says the best thing for your blood pressure is cayenne capsules. The best thing for my blood pressure is not to get it up in the first place, which means that I may have to ease up on the green mangoes with salt and pepper. Lord Jesus, it's mango season. I'll check it afterwards and see how we're doing. All right, Miss Joe, thank you so much. Aliana said, what did I miss, Auntie Sandy's pressure's gone up? Yo, yeah. Okay, jungle justice yesterday, North Side. Lord have mercy. Now let's talk about it. First of all, I don't really advocate violence on a regular basis. However, there are times when I see it and I think to myself, well, he got what was coming to him. He got what he deserved. So this young man is no stranger to us, unfortunately for him. He has been in trouble before. My Tatum, he just can't learn. Back in 2020, he did something shocking. He actually assaulted. I know a lot of y'all were defending him. Oh, let me make sure I get the right video. There's one video we're going to play that has some profanity in it. So I want to make sure we don't use that one because we can't be getting in trouble with off-reg. So this little boy, his name is Ronaldo. They call him Naldo for short. He seems hell-bent on a life of, he just is going to do whatever he wants to do. And I hate to tell you, Naldo, but if you choose to do that, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble, son. You're already in a lot of trouble. Do yourselves a favor and get your life together. You're still not too late. I mean, there's still hope. I believe that any person has the capacity to change and to turn their life around. That's a matter, obviously, for them. But the longer you wait to do it, and the more entrenched you get into robberies and rape allegations and all this kind of stuff, the more difficult it is for you to do it. There is going to be a slippery slope, and I think you're halfway down that slippery slope now, where it's going to be very, very difficult now, though, for you to turn things around. Okay, you've already been to jail, and how old are you? Let me double check the story. You're young, and you've already been to jail once, and you're heading to jail again after yesterday's fiasco. Son, I don't know what happened in your life. I'm sure you've got some cry me a bunch of tears story. Somebody did something to you when you stabbed up your stepfather. They're like, oh, well, yes, ma'am. Maybe the stepfather wasn't treating him nicely. All these sort of I took an Advil already. Oh, yeah, I took an Advil already. I don't think I should probably mix Advil and Tylenol. Although I could take 700 milligrams, but I'm not going to overdo it. I'll keep this one in the drawer. All right. So yes, now though, listen, everybody has a story. Everybody has an explanation for why their life is a hot mess. A lot of us can sympathize with that, but there's going to come a point in time when, unfortunately, the rest of us who are going to be at your mercy whenever you feel like going off, we're no longer going to care about what happened to you as a child. Okay. We're not going to care that maybe you didn't get enough donuts or somebody skimped on the rice and peas, or maybe, your father beat you, your stepfather beat you once or twice or whatever. We're going to be like, listen, son, we are sick and tired of people like you and you, right? Running havoc on this community at the mercy of the good people in this country. And we must sit back and, take it. Listen, them people yesterday were sitting down playing their dominoes, and they said, not today, Bobo. Now, there was rumors flying around that they had beat him with his prosthetic leg. So this is a young man. Let me just refresh your memories. He stabbed his stepfather, back in 2020. He actually live streamed it when it was happening. And then, tried to make the stepfather look like he's a hot mess of a situation. And, it's the stepfather's fault. You always got to blame other people. All right. So that happened. And then he turned around and, lost a leg. Did he lose the leg first? Yeah, I think he lost the leg after the stepfather incident, right? So then he turned around and lost the leg in, some motorbike incident. And so now he has this prosthetic leg. And if they weren't beating him with it yesterday, they probably should have been. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just be the first to say what all of you are thinking. So, he's out there making his life and everybody else's life just crazy, wreaking havoc on the community. Well, Caymanians are a particular set of people. And sometimes, truth be known, they're simply not going to put up with your mess. Let's watch the video. So I got 2 videos we're going to play this morning. So the first video is going to demonstrate what he did, how he walked up to the facility. Like I said, thanks, big shout out to Kevin. He's edited out the profanity for me. But look at this. So, for the benefit of the radio listeners, these guys are sitting down playing dominoes at a little residence. So, they're sitting at the dominoes table. There's somebody, is that a woman beside them just watching them play? Anyway, yeah, they're sitting there playing dominoes. The 4 guys here. I don't know who was winning, honey child. There's another guy sitting out there minding his own business. I think that's a man, right? In the tank top. Anyway, they're all sitting down there. He walks up to them, pulls out a gun, has a little mask, his face covered, pulls out a gun out of what looks like a recycled bag from one of the grocery stores, mess with him, trying to be environmentally friendly with the robbery. Like, what the hell? So Shanae said he got what he needed from a long time ago. Trust me, they should still be beating him this morning. Anyway, he pulls out a gun, or what appears to be a gun. I don't know if it's a real firearm or whatever. And then he starts, and he's so stupid. I mean, this kid not smart, not at all. You can even tell by the way he walking, how he moving. Look at him. You can tell that he got a friggin' fake leg. Look at that leg, poor thing. He can't. Oh, he's so stupid. Now, I mean, I hate to call people stupid, but he takes the Darwin Award for stupidity. Anyhow, he pulls out the gun and he's cursing at him. I guess, give me your money, blah, blah, blah. They were like, whatever. As a matter of fact, they look like they completely ignore him. This one kind of turns on and look at him for a minute. The one in the Cayman shirt, does he even look at him? He's not even paying this boy no mind. He pulled out the gun. He's not even turned around and look. The other little one put up his hand for a quick second and put it back down. Like he like, listen, I'm not showing nobody my Domino's card, You crazy? What? I'm not gonna show it. What? And so then they're like, yeah, you must be stupid. And then of course this one now starts walking towards him. Here's another video clip, a longer video clip of what went down. So check this out. Mm-hmm. So we see him. Is this when he was trying to get away? Trying to run back to the car? And this is when they went and tackled him? Yeah, honey child, look at them Northsiders. Woo! We went from one guy. This is like action blow by blow. So one guy kind of pushed him down. Yep, that fake leg not gonna hold up, honey child. And then here comes all the other ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wow. They all came running, see the man with the Cayman shirt. And then the next one, Yep, and they get, oh, yay. What a caramba. Praise the Lord. Can we get a hallelujah up in here?
Praise the Lord.
I'm just saying, honey child, they start thumping him. As them more people say, they gave him a B-lick. I know my aunt watching this morning top. So you watching? Because this is why you say that when you get a B-lick, you say, yeah, that what he needed, honey child. And look at him. My God. Yes, sir. So they never took off the prosthetic leg. They just beat him up. Okay. Well, they should have grabbed that off too and beat him with it. But I think during the incident, this one going with a little something in his hand. Lord Jesus, don't overdo it now. Lord have mercy. Shoe come flying off. Not today, Bobo. Good for you. Good citizens. That was what you call a proper citizen's arrest. Look here. Yeah, I mean, you can tell that one in red, he wanted to lick him with that thing in his hand, but don't do it. He restrained himself. And I must say, because then you might have got charged with something, because, you know, you can't hit him with, I don't know what that is, golf club or something. You can't, he might have licked him with it once or twice, though. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Oh, okay, then. He did lick him with it, but you could see he wanted to keep going, and they probably said, all right. We're not here to kill him. We're going to just teach him a little lesson that you don't come north side, son. We don't know where you from. By the way, where is this fool from? Where is he from? Can somebody enlighten me about who he from? His mama worked for Flo. Poor her. I know she must be regretting the day. She's like, can I undo that push? What a proper fool. He not too bright. Yep, that what he get. Give him another one. Yep, kick him again. That's right. And I got no qualms about this whatsoever. These gentlemen deserve to get a medal. CMR medal day. We be giving them gold medals. This one coming back, boy. He said, make him come and interrupt my dominoes game again. I got beat him. Leanna says that was a generational, you know what? Strong Will said, good morning, Sandy. That what he get. Sandy, you killing me. Listen, he got exactly what he deserved. In fact, they should still be beating him as far as I'm concerned. Look at it. Look at the fool. Look at him. My God. You almost feel sorry for him when he's sitting there now. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, it was a golf club. I thought it looked like one. What y'all doing playing golf up north side? Yes, sir. Now this man, is that a machete in his hand? He looked like he went and got the cutlass from him. Yeah, boy. You gonna wait here? I can imagine what he was telling him because there's no audio for this one. So I'm going to ad lib and interpret. You can wait here for the popo to come. And if you move, I can slap you with this machete. You hear me, son? You hear me, boy? You'll come north side again and interrupt my game, and I'm gonna box you another time. Oh my God. What a mess. I tell you, no, sir. Well, all I can tell you is he got what he deserved. And, you know, I'm not feeling sorry for him this morning. The golf club might be used for something else. Hint, hint. I'm not sure. Mel says we need a little bit more of this jungle justice. These lazy ass boys running around, robbing innocent people. I bet they'll think twice after this. I'm just saying, I bet you he will. Yeah. So, this is the little boy now. What's his name again? Ronaldo. His mama can't do nothing with him, unfortunately. Like I said, she works Flo. Poor thing. He's stressing her out to the max. The thing about it is the kid actually has a job. You saw him dressed in his little uniform and stuff. He has a job and he was working. So those of you who are always making excuses for these young boys talking foolishness about, because they can't get no work. That's why they out there doing this. Let me assure you that ain't got nothing to do with the price of rice in China. Not a thing to do with it. In fact, in this instance, my boy got a job and he just got paid. I mean, seriously. So let's look at some of the photos that came in as well. Hold on here now. Let me somebody just made a meme. You know, Caymanian's gonna make a million memes out of this now. I got my little sign in my house that says not today, Bobo. And this is definitely it. What a hot mess. Like I said, no sympathy. Absolutely no sympathy for this boy. He got what he deserved. Heard he robbed a store a few weeks ago. Hold on, I'm coming with the long list of his transgressions, and all the foolishness that he's been up to. Hold on one second. Let me get the blow up pictures. What an embarrassment, right? My God. Wow. I tell you what. Cindy, I saw you with a different version of this picture. Try and send me that one. Minus the meme. I just want the straight photo. So he just decided to pick with the wrong people. I mean, his mama never told him. That way, I can't believe it. I'm like, are y'all sure this fool boy came in? Because I mean, yes, some of our people really don't have no sense, but he looked like he didn't know. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Aunt Sander.
Hello.
I'm gonna just let you know that was a generational beating, because he really had need that.
Good.
Really need that. He have no excuse. You lost your leg by running from police after you stole bike. Then you want to stab up your father. That's no excuse. You's a grown man. You gonna get grown man things now. And then you just recently come out of prison. And you get job, now you don't got no job now.
Yes,
for doing all this foolishness.
Here we are, like, giving young people like him a second chance opportunities, and he is wasting it. My God, what is wrong?
And look
with
at the
these
rest
boys?
of them. The rest of them on the road gonna follow right behind them too.
Well, if they not
Doing
see what
the
he get
same
as a
thing.
lesson, what a mess.
Jungle justice. I tell you, it gonna come. It will come in.
Yeah.
You realize you don't hear much from North Side and East End. They're the most quiet people,
Yep.
All right, then. That's my
Thank you, baby. I appreciate it.
All right, you have a good one.
You too. So I got to tell you the truth. I don't feel no kind of way about it. How do you guys feel this morning? 936-2626. Do you think he got what he deserved? Anybody having sympathy for this fool boy this morning? How did he lose his leg? Yes, he was in some accident. Was this the one down Newlands where he was running from the police, or this was another one? I can't even keep up with these boys, because they really don't have no sense. But here's what somebody sent me in terms of what he's been up to. Here are his charges. Somebody said here he's a Jamaican, so is his mother and father. Well, I don't know where they come from. What his name is? Taylor? Ronaldo Taylor? Anyhow, stabbed his stepfather in 2021. Actually, that was 2020. The boy live streamed it on Instagram. You IG people might remember, because I was sitting there, people were sending it to me like, Sandy, what the heck is going on? I couldn't believe it. Indecent assault, March of 2021. Weapons, 2018. Lord Jesus. Theft, August of 2017. Theft, March of 2016. Rape, January 2024, theft, April 2024. He's been arrested many times, but he always comes out. And the person also says, it was a bike accident, breakers. Okay. And the person also says they wonder if he got friends in high places. He not got no friends in high places. The system just don't work. So somebody say he stole a bike and ended up losing his leg then in that incident. Wow. The Darwin Award goes to Naldo. All right, Naldo. So now we can add May the 28th of 2024 to this long list of things. Attempted robbery and get you behind whoop by them good people from North Side. Anybody who was there at the scene want to call us in and tell us how it felt giving him a couple licks? Anonymous says it's coming like he don't get tired of getting in trouble. Trust me. Siobhan says, I don't feel sorry for him. Marshall says he got what he deserves. He only have one leg, and he's still out there acting the fool when he should go sit his you-know-what down somewhere. Yep. You can imagine. With one leg, he's still acting foolish, boy. Stupid. Marlon, good morning to you, sir. Says, though, one of these days, somebody's going to fire, most likely out of fright or nervousness, and we'll have our first case. You mean the robbers? They've done that already. That's how they kill that poor prison officer. That's why when people come, listen, I can't blame them Northsiders. Now you gonna pull a gun on them? Anonymous says this man just come out of jail not so long ago, and he's going right back in. He loved going back every minute. Well, must be something in prison that he enjoyed. Maybe it's that good food. I don't really know. Getting 3 square meals a day. Maybe he's got a bunk friend, buddy. Everybody needs somebody. I don't know what's going on. But honey, chill. There he goes in jail again. Alice says they need to loss him in the prison system. He can get like 20 years or more charges now again. Well, I tell you what, he going away for a little bit now, because even an imitation firearm, 10 years minimum or more. So, wow, you going away for a minute. Alma says sometimes parents try with these young men, but they're just determined to do foolishness and embarrass their parents. That is true. Debbie says, can the RCIPS hire this Northside crew? Job well done. Oh my God. Ingrid says he reached late in the giving out of senses. Aliano is wondering if the gun was real. Let me see what the police have said. Did they ever say? Hold on here now. I'm not sure if they've said that as yet. Let me see. Taylor. So police responded to a report of shots fired in the vicinity of Northside Road, Northside. Police are currently in the scene, have arrested one man and seized a firearm. Initial increase indicate the incident was a result of an attempted robbery, which led to an altercation. Okay, so Taylor and one other man involved received minor injuries and was transferred to hospital. Apparently, they made him sit there for a minute too, because one of my sources like, oh, the police are here, but they still got him on the ground. That's because they were looking for the firearm. Because I think he then tried to throw it in the bushes or whatever. And the popo, they're like, oh no, we're not going to court again. For some smart Alaki defense lawyer to say, well, they never found the gun. Although you see it in the video, that video not really him. Y'all are seeing things. So if they didn't find the gun at the scene, let him walk. Police were like, not today, lawyers. We're going to stay here till we find the gun. So my sources indicated that they were rummaging around trying to find the gun. Sandra says, imagine we paid for his prosthetic leg, I'm told. Of course we did. Of course. Yes. This is what happens. We're paying for all these young boys and girls to go out there with their foolishness, got them on NAU like nobody's business and this, that, and the next thing, and they're still doing this. Blackberry says karma kept coming for him and he clearly wouldn't clean up his act. Why is he still free to wreak havoc? Not anymore, honey Jim. Anywho, Ingrid says, I have 2 young boys and I've grown them up all by myself, 26 and 19. I teach them the right road to go. But honestly, I don't have no sympathy for this useless boy. Hot mess. Blackberry says, I have the same thought. We all know Cayman has a history of denying her mental health cases. Somebody says he might have mental health cases? Karen says, is he currently on bail for the alleged rape charge? I guess he's on bail for all the other stuff. What a hot mess. I don't know if this is mental health or this is just he won't pretend like he bad. But those guys did a good job yesterday trying to lick some sense into him. I'm just saying they could still be working on that this morning. We would be okay with it. Now, don't give nobody no excuses telling me they got mental health when that's not really what it is. They just want to play smart and want to be criminals. All right. Someone says he has no mental health issues. I don't know him, but I doubt it. He got enough sense to go rob people, though. He used to live Stepping Stone, Frank Sound with his mother or her. Somebody else says he is a Jamaican. He needs to go back to his country of origin. Now, Aldo is one of those bad breed people, and we got our own crap hole criminals and don't need those imported ones too. I think he lost his leg before his stepfather's stabbing. He's from Jamaica, but came here as a young boy. Oh, so listen, somebody said he robbed a store a few weeks ago. Okay, so this is simple. He's gonna go to court now, jail. My apologies, for a number of years. Please, judges, it's time to suggest to CBC that status be yanked from him. WRC, y'all can arrange that. take his status, and issue a deportation order. Okay? Let me be very, very clear about this. We have a lot of our homegrown idiots and criminals. Okay? We have little control over where we can send them, although some of them in the UK now. And yes, make the UK help us out every once in a while. Send them over there where they can be in a hardcore prison and see what life is really all about. But anytime you get convicted of a serious offense in this country, and you not a Caymanian, and I don't care if you, let me rephrase that. You're not a born, bred, at least one parent Caymanian. Yeah, because then you're a Caymanian. You got that through some kind of paper from whoever. That paper can be taken. And let me show y'all what we can do with the paper. Hold on here now. I need a sheet of paper. Anybody got some paper? Look here. This is the status thing, right? This way they do. And keep ripping it up. And then when you get it this fine, when you've ripped it this much, then you take it, put it through the shredder. See my shred machine back there? Shred it even further, and then get some lighter fluid and burn it, and then put it in the garbage. And then we will all donate the money to put you on a one-way ticket straight back to Kingston. In fact, the flight now going to Mobay, right? We flying Kingston and Mobay. Either one will do. We just need you out of here. So we need to send you back. Sorry. You have lost the privilege of having Cayman status. I am sorry. That is a privilege. And it is not a privilege that should come with the inability to revoke it. And this boy has done more than enough to get it revoked. So yes, if he's from Jamaica, I'm sorry, son. Time for you to go back a yard and make them Kingstonians over there deal with you, because you better believe if he had done this in Kingston and they decide to beat him, he probably may not have survived it. Him and the artificial leg, the prosthetic leg, would have been dead on arrival. All right. He's a Caymanian, said Hamilton. How he get it is the question. Because if he's a Caymanian by state, who his mommy is? Now let's put this argument to bed. Who he for? Who his mommy is? His mommy Caymanian? Oh, he didn't murder the stepfather. He stabbed him up. Somebody said I was living up the road from him. Burn that paper, yes. Had a job. That boy got no excuses. These people are simply bad. How would we be charged? What? Oh, sorry. Old comment. No, he lost a leg before the stabbing. Oh, he been bad. So he lost his leg first in like 2016 or early 2017. Okay. All right. And then, okay. All right. So tell me who he from. I really believe he's a Caymanian, Sandy. Well, if he's a Caymanian, then y'all listen to me. This is very, very simple. From one Caymanian to the next. If the boy is a Caymanian, who he for? Who his mom is? Now, you Caymanians know how this works. Y'all can tell me what my papa was doing in 1945. Morning, caller.
Hey, morning. Any special subject you're on?
Well, we're talking about this incident in Northside yesterday, but what's on your mind?
Oh, what's on my mind? Oh, my goodness. Plenty, but I know you don't have the time, and I would take from now till tomorrow.
Oh, God, no.
But
well, let me ask you a question. Let's see if we can stay on topic a little bit here. You heard what happened to this little boy in Northside who tried to rob those people and they beat him. Do you fault them in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
He got what he deserved.
Exactly. And anybody try to break in on us, and we catch them, or even when we're out and we find them, we can beat them to a pulp, and then call the police and then call the ambulance. because I've reported so many things to the police, and they just circle and nothing happens. Like yesterday, I heard you on a topic about a 12-year-old that was driving on the
yes,
road.
we're getting to him next, but go on. Yes, talk about him, honey Chia.
Well, I know another one down here in West Bay. In West Bay, that he puts he's 12 years old, seldom go to school, and he puts a cushion down on the seat, and he drives up and down as much as he wants, and guess what? He's driving a BMW, and people think that he is much older than.
So, excuse me. Where are the parents?
Parents? We can still call these people parents.
Oh.
Okay. No, Miss Sandra. No, Miss Sandra. They're right there looking and laughing. And he's been doing that from about 10 or maybe younger.
What a mess.
And he knows he's doing wrong because he has a cushion on the seat, so he looks like an adult driving the car. I called the police. The police came and circled and made the third trip. Didn't stop to the house, gave the whole description. Didn't stop to the house, and then they circled back out. And I seen them again, and they didn't find anybody. I say, you can't find anybody if you don't go to the house. And I gave you the description of the house, which would have been facing you. I said, I thought I'll be a good citizen and try to help out, but nothing happened. So I wouldn't be calling in again unless I see him on the main road.
All right,
anyway,
my dear. Thank you.
And can I say something else?
Sure.
Okay. I thank you for taking this other call. Did anybody read about the wishes of Juliana that she has gotten some like all passed and all ready, and then to the end of all the wishes, it says it's got to be paid by the public purse, and that is a 38 apartments costing the public purse $8 million that is going to be built in the BRAC for the workers that is going to build the $50 million school.
Listen to me. I told y'all that $50 million school is going to cost the people, the Cayman Islands, over $100 million, right? Y'all heard me.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And you're totally right, Sandra. I would agree. In this 38 apartments, that must be a 5-star hotel with golden toilet seats and whatnot. And what we're doing? We're sitting down and taking it all in, like good children, like real good children. And the part about it, it says it's going to be passed on to the public, to us, the people's purse.
Of course, we always pay for it. The politicians not paying for it themselves.
Oh, of course not. And then she got the nerve to say she's a good politician, a good premier, a good this and a good that. Good thing we're living in Cayman. Any other country, you want to know what an uproar it would be, and whatnot. Thank you. Thank you for taking that other call.
Yes, appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
All right, my dear. So let's talk about, yes, thank you so much, caller. Let's talk about the young man who also was observed over the weekend. That one had a lot of profanity in it. I can't even be bothered bleeping that out. So y'all saw it already on social media. This is a kid driving up and down in a van, in a car. Looks like an SUV. Was it a Honda? I can't even remember. But listen to me now. Y'all parents got to do better. I said to someone, do you not know where your kids are? And the kids got the car keys and out running. I'm sorry. They're like, well, Sandy, you never know. Sometimes you don't know where they be. I'm like, really? That's what y'all doing? You don't know. Remember when we used to watch TV back in the day and it used to come on like NBC, whatever. Do you know where your kids are? It's like 8:00 at night. I need to ask some of y'all parents. Do you know where your children are? How can you not know where your child? If I'm inside my house, okay, my child need to be inside my house or in my backyard, and I got all the cameras sitting there watching her if I'm not sitting in the backyard with her. How do y'all manage to not know that a child is driving up and down a public road, acting the fool? And I could not believe some of the comments, to be quite frank and honest, because y'all like, oh, he driving pretty good. I'm proud of him. You're proud of him until he crashes into, because he don't know how to handle a car at the age of 12. He has no experience. So when he crashes into a tree and kills himself, then all of us must be out there crying for him and his family. Like, oh, we so sorry that you're stupid. Boy, not got no sense and went and killed himself. Worse yet, if he kills an innocent person. Look at how many fatalities we have on our roadways, and they're older people who don't have no good driving sense and who make poor decisions, who are speeding and drinking and driving. What do you think a 12-year-old is going to be able to do with how many tons of metal? Every person who sat and watched that and thought, oh, this is a proud moment for me. I'm proud, You proud of what? That in that moment he didn't kill someone? Like, really? That's what made you proud? Parents, y'all need to get it together and stop pretending that you are not parents and that you don't have a job to do. Because it is your job, right? You are, the second you get pregnant, whether you did so intentionally or not, you have a job to do. And it is your responsibility to raise children in such a manner that they do not become a nuisance to the society that we all have to live in. And I can't fathom how any of you can let your children out of your sight where they can be driving up and down in a public road and you don't know this. Really? Where are you? I see some parents allow children to come out of school. Now, I sympathize with your plight because my understanding is some of you, you can't afford aftercare. You can't afford aftercare activities, none of that stuff. So what you end up doing then, the alternative is to have your children. Let me see, I'm trying to remove the audio from this. I think I've done it. You have your children come home and they're left to their own devices to do whatever it is that they wish to do. From they get out 3:00 in the afternoon, there's no activities, there's no monitoring of them, nothing. You allow them to roam up and down the streets worse than an animal, because I wouldn't even let my dog run up and down the street like that. And they're keeping bad company. They're out there smoking pot, some of them doing harder drugs, drinking alcohol, fornicating in the bushes with each other, all kind of stuff. And y'all want to pretend like you don't have a clue. Let me explain something that's very, very important to you all this morning. Children, young adults, their brain does not fully develop until the age of 25. Okay? 25. Oh, you got to turn the radio down, honey child. Hello, caller.
Hi, Auntie Sandra. Morning.
Hello. Morning, dear.
I just want to put my piece in. The police them need to be on alert, doing their work more better than that. Then them things would happen.
The police?
Yeah, they need to be out on doing their job.
Yeah, but you do appreciate that they can't be everywhere at this I mean, you need a million police officers, right?
It's a whole heap of police them in there. That's not an excuse. It's a whole heap of police. Someone have to do these things in order to keep the community clear. They have to be out there. That's what I tell you. Thank you.
All right, my dear. Thank you so much. Somebody sent me a video saying that we need a serious boot camp for some of these boys. I mean, I hear the sentiment. I don't think you can have a police officer every single where, so you would have police in these people's yards sitting down playing dominoes with them. I mean, I don't know that that's realistic. And the problem is this. Yes, the police have a role to play. I mean, y'all know this already, of course. But at the same time, let's not confuse good policing with what y'all should be doing, which is preventing people from becoming criminals in the first place. What are we going to do? Keep building jails? We're going to have more jails than we have condos soon? Is that going to be the idea? Where we can't raise children who are responsible and respectful and just follow the law? Instead, we are going to do what with them? You see, you got to get ahead of the problem. The policing is on the back end. 99% of what police do is on the back end of things. They come and arrest, build a case, whatever, throw you behind in jail when you do something wrong. That isn't where our focus, I mean, it's part of what has to be done, but it's not exactly where our focus should be. Our focus has to be on the front end. It's called being a parent and raising your children. That's what I'm saying. Right? This boy, I mean, I see his mommy and I have seen her around and she seems like a very lovely lady. And I'm sure she's probably tried her best. I don't know. People say he just been a bad seed from day one. So I have confirmed from my very reliable sources, his mom is Jamaican. She works there at Flow, like I said. Seems like a nice enough lady. And I don't know what went wrong with this kid. But, you know, she might have married a Caymanian or somebody with status, but she got status and then he got status off of her. Well, honey child, like I said, get that status and rip it up. Rip it small. Rip it. Keep ripping it. Keep ripping it. File 13. Put that in the garbage. He's got to go. I mean, let's be very clear. Somebody said they thought status wasn't revocable. That's revocable. And if it isn't revocable, then our legislators have failed us yet again because they need to go ahead and amend that legislation. Make that issue revocable, just like in the United States of America. Right? You get U.S. citizenship. Remember when they had changed the law? You get U.S. citizenship, you commit a felony, you gone. Some of the felonies were like the equivalent of a misdemeanor. They wasn't business. Oh, but I don't know where. I don't know. I have only lived in America since I was 6 months old. I got nowhere to go. You know what Uncle Sam was saying? I don't care. You are fired. You're out of here. Get him out of here. Send him back home. They send him back to Honduras, Nicaragua, Japan. This Uncle Sam didn't care. He's like, I don't care where you come from. This is the rule. You break the rule. It's going to be applied. Deportation order. Toodaloo. Goodbye. All right. Anonymous says it's called avoiding the problem. This is why so many parents don't do the job and want to act surprised. What a mess. Symphony of the Reef says narco-hypnosis is going to be the end of upcoming generations. Evidently, we're going to see an increase in suicide and juvenile criminality. We're going to see, I think we're already seeing it, truth be told. Ms. Pat says parents' lack of respect for authority continues through adulthood, and you know how that ends. And, you know, listen, some parents tell me, Sandy, I don't know what's wrong with this boy. I can't handle him. You know, so I think the system has to offer certain things. There has to be something in place now. Where if a parent comes and they says, we don't know what to do with him, right? We beating them, that not working. We taking stuff away, that's not working. They're at a loss. There are some children who need a different kind of hand when it comes to parenting. And so the system needs to have resources in place to try to help those families. Here's one suggestion.
Sandy, wet. Hey, jealous? I ain't been to the beach yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, hold all them. Hold all them. No, sir.
No, sir. Uh-huh.
When you wearing it? Look at you. Get down to your side, man.
Not being his belly, but he wearing it.
You wasting the government water, man. Look at you. Why are you wasting the government water? This a glitch? Why are you wasting the government water?
Well, it's a little bit harsh, and I'm going to tell y'all something now. You know, Auntie, y'all, some of y'all believe I can put my foot on your neck, and yes, that can happen. But I actually believe in gentler parenting. Okay, listen to me now. The problem with you guys is y'all start too late. You can't wait till the kid is 12 years old and driving in your car to then try to set down rules, limitations, and boundaries, regulations, and say, son, you need to understand. The boy gonna be like, mommy, what a rule is? I don't know what that is. So then you have to use that degree of force to try to bend and break that tree back into some sensibility. My position is this. You start with a gentle parenting approach from day one. Gentle, but firm. Okay? You don't have to be like that with no 2-year-old child. Because I've seen how some of y'all treat your children. I'm just like, what is wrong with you? Yelling and screaming at them, and I got beat you, and I got punch you if you don't pick that up. I'm like, whoa, honey child. You don't have to threaten this poor baby with violence. A child is only a toddler. Violence begets violence. Children who grow up in that type of environment, that's what they see, that's what they know. That is chaos. I'm telling y'all, bring it down a couple notches. Go get therapy. Learn how to talk to your children, but you got to do it from the second you pop them out, cesarean or vaginally, it don't make no difference. You have got to start early because children will test the boundaries. Yes, they do that better than anything else, right? You tell them no, they're going to be like, I didn't hear no. And every single time. Now, you think by now that my daughter know how to respond when I ask her a question. I asked her something last night. I can't remember what it was. Something about school. She said, yeah. I said, excuse me. She said, yeah. I said, excuse me. I didn't hear properly. But mommy, I said, I can't hear the rest of the conversation because my ears are stuck on you responding to me with a yeah. Because I know I didn't hear that out of your 7-year-old mouth because you know better. How do you respond when spoken to? Both adults and your peers? Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay. Now you're saying something to me? You have to reinforce it. Because they slip up one time and you don't catch them and you keep letting them go. They're going to keep slipping. And next thing you know, they're slipping into badness. Gentle. It's like, what are the little trees called? The bonsai trees. You got to kind of tweak them gently every day. A little bending here and a little bending there. Okay, honey child. You start early. So somebody say his mommy was a good person, but he just a bad kid. Well, I mean, there is some evidence now to prove that there are some people who are just born with a bad gene. I mean, I hate to say that because then that implies that there's nothing that can be done. Nature versus nurture. There are some children, but they're very, very small amount of people who are what we call psychotic genetically. That's why y'all need to be careful who you're having children for. I'm just saying, you know what my aunt used to say? This is the aunt from East End now, not that one in Tampa. Not Aunt Lottie, this is Aunt Adonia. Adonia used to say, honey child, it's all in the genes. It's in the genes, Sandy. And I said, really? She said, yep. Be careful who you go breed for, honey child. Because sometimes you're taking on some bad genes and you don't even know it. Look at the chaos in the family that you're hooking up with. I'm just saying. Be careful. Now, you can also be a good person and maybe even a half decent parent But when these children like him now come out with this level of force, you just don't know what to do. So you need resources. Thank you, Ms. Pat. She says the Family Resource Center, the Department of Counseling and Wellness Center, lots of options available to Cayman. But what I have discovered is when you have a bad child, you know what the police are going to tell you? We can't help you. We can't do anything with him or her until they break the law. Then we can handle it. Why not offer resources before it gets to that point of no return? This person on Instagram says that's not even the first time that they beat him with the leg. My God, no, sir. So listen, can I undo the push? You right? I know some of y'all parents be thinking it. Y'all be like, put them back. Give me another chance, honey chill. All right, let's see what else. We go to court this morning. Manners and respect start from young. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. So here it is. So snow about if you hear what happened last night. Oh my God. Another tragic situation again. Oh, geez, peace. Oh my God. What a heat. I gotta post this one up. This person says, Sandy, every child is different and therefore requires different levels of skills. And well, let me tell you one of the problems. Yes, ma'am, I believe that for sure. Every child is different. And a big part of the problem, honey child, is unfortunately, a lot of parents don't have the required skill set. Y'all are children having children. You've not lived your life. That's why when I tell you young folks, don't be fooling around having no children, even in your 20s. Go out there and live your life. Get a little bit of experience. Do you. So that when you finally have a child and you need to focus, right? You're not still out here trying to work on getting a degree or work on your twerking game or getting fake nails or whatever your priorities are in your 20s. Get all that out of the way. Finish your education. Do all that stuff. Get a good career going, right? A good trade, whatever you can do, your business, start it up. Because all of these things take energy away from what you probably need to be putting into that child, especially since so many of you insist on being single parents. Your job is going to be exponentially more difficult as a single parent. Now, if you got two, tag teaming that little toddler, right? So they got to run from you to the daddy. Oh, mommy said, and no, what did mommy say? Mommy said, no means no. You're not going to pull that on me. Both y'all have to be on the same page, same energy. And shoot, sometimes you got to play good cop, bad cop. So when Gigi be coming to me with tears in her eyes, I'm like, oh, go talk to your father, because them tears not going to work on him. Poor me, my little heart sometimes gets a little bit soft. And I said, go talk to your dad, because then I'm working on him. And I, nope. Go to, that not going to work. I tells her, when she come with the tears, I'm like, oh my gosh. I want to cry sometimes too. I say, you need a timeout, don't you? Go sit in the corner and emotionally, you can't regulate yet, but just go sit in the corner for a few minutes. You're going to feel better. And then when you come back, it's still going to be, you got to do what you were instructed to do. It's going to be the same thing. But we don't have to be yelling and screaming down the place every single day. No, that's not necessary. Oh, Lord Jesus, what a mess we're in. Y'all need to do more. Take a couple parenting courses, read a couple parenting books, because none of these children came with a manual. I want to thank Miss Mary. She gave me, the little book about when you have a child. This is when you need a child. I was all up into that reading. Yes, find out as much as you can, because children are indeed different and some need different approaches and stuff. But, a lot of us, we only know what we were raised up with, and we were raised with a very particular type of mentality where they can just beat it out of you. Oh, you got the devil in you, I got to beat the devil out of you. That's not always the answer, and it's oftentimes definitely not the solution. Siobhan says, definitely both parents need to be on the same page when it comes to the child/children. This person says, when I started to cry, I was told to quit it or I would get something to cry for. Yes, I heard that too. And I was like, Lord have mercy. Listen, I don't know, honey child. The memes have started. My goodness, some people doing all kind of memes. Well, Naldo, you're going to jail. and this should be a lesson to all other young folks. A lot of y'all listen to the program, you watch the program. Let me just warn you. He is an example of what not to do, okay? His life story, unfortunately, is not going well. Some of y'all know the kid, you're friends with him, whatever. You're going to have a lot of time now to distance yourself from people like this. You're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You think you're a bad man, you're a bad girl, you're a bad bitch, you're a bad bitch. Okay, y'all need to calm down over there. Okay, because you don't know anything yet. You're young and naive, and you got a whole life ahead of you if you're smart. Some of y'all cutting your life short for no reason whatsoever. Radio listeners, y'all have a beautiful day. Everybody else, I can't go into too much overtime because, honey child, I got to get to court. We got some sentencing to catch up on today. Okay. So listen to me now. Y'all want to be bad bitches? I'm a bad bitch, Sandy. Okay. They're not getting you nowhere in life. Get your act together. Get your life together. Yes. If you need help, reach out. There are people who will help you. There's therapy options available. You know, something's wrong in your home. If you're being abused, if you're being molested, nobody should have to put up with that. There are people who will love you and who will go to bat for you. But once you become of a particular age, the system is no longer going to be your friend, right? So there are expectations of you that you're going to shape up. You're a young kid now in your 20s. Nobody, is he 20 yet? Must be in his early 20s by now. No one is going to be playing around with you, Naldo, or anybody else out there. There will come a point in time when the system will say, okay, enough is enough. There's something called accountability. And if you don't understand that, they're going to start putting you in jail, giving you traffic fines, taking your driver's license away, doing the most. The world is not, it's not an easy life. It's not an easy world. And your decisions, every day you get up, you're going to be making decisions. And more, those decisions will be haunting you. And they will come back at you in a quick order. So shape up and stop all the nonsense. Okay? Now, like I said, I don't know what his affinity is with jail and why he seems to be enjoying it so much, but that's nothing to esteem to. This person says, I did the same thing. I stopped my children mid-sentence and told them we need to restart the conversation. I corrected my 17-year-old male the other day, reminding him what the house rules were in my house. I have one child who's submissive and the one that tests me. Oh, child, listen, like we said, that's what children do. They love how to test you. Somebody said her prison is a hotel. What a hot mess. So the system now is going to start looking at all people like Ronaldo and saying, we're not playing with you no more. You don't get no more chances. He's going to go to jail. That firearm offense alone has the potential of 10 years. He'll serve 60% of that. You're wasting your life in and out of Northward, right? What for? So people can go around talking about you're a badass? There's no accolades in being that kind of a badass. Being a badass in Northward don't pay your bills. It don't put food on the family table. It doesn't do anything for you except further ruin your reputation and put you in the hamster wheel rut of in and out of prison. Anyway, I can't say any more about this boy. He gonna have to figure it out one way or the other. The people of Northside, somebody said there's no award for being a fool. You better believe it. The people of Northside did the right thing, in my opinion. Popo, don't even bother investigating no charges because really they should still be beating his ass this morning. You roll up on somebody with a firearm and threaten people and put people in fear, although they didn't, I gotta be honest with you, they kept playing dominoes. They didn't look like they were scared of him. But legitimately, most people were in fear of their lives. And if they get an opportunity to grab you and beat you, well, so be it. That's how I'm thinking. So be it. Parents, do a better job of raising your kids. 12-year-olds shouldn't be driving on a public road or even a private road for that matter. There's so many things that could go wrong, just one split second, that could cost people their lives. Stop trying to force rape your children. There's no need for them to be driving at 12 years old. Come on now. This is in the 1800s where they're going to be having a kid at 14 and having a whole family, so they better know how to drive or whatever. All right. We're off to court this morning to see the hot mess of people getting convicted. Lots of people going to jail. They're going to have to expand the jail. I'm telling y'all straight. Every day I look at the cause list and another one going to jail. Cocaine possession, this, that, and the next thing. Y'all need to get your ish together. So we have a couple today that we'll be reporting on. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm out. Y'all try to be good, honey child. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. What's tomorrow? Thursday? All right. We got guests coming in Friday. We don't have anybody scheduled for tomorrow. We're going to talk about hurricane preparedness on Friday and emancipation for Cayman Brac. So definitely tune in for that. And in the meanwhile, don't break any laws. Don't go robbing people. And yes, if somebody roll up on you like that, you have a right to defend yourself within the law. So, you know, Naldo, you got it yesterday, honey chill. All right, my beautiful peeps. Y'all have a wonderful day. And we shall see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Okay, honey chill. Toodaloo, toodaloo.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.